Morero says the incoming ANC leadership, which is set to be elected later today, will need to find solutions to the many challenges facing the city.
Our challenges are complex and they need complex solutions. You have a responsibility to give us leaders who can handle these challenges and deliver the results.
Later this afternoon, ANC branches in Johannesburg will begin voting for a new leadership structure. The results are expected to be announced this evening, with Dada Morero facing off against Loyiso Masuku for the top position. Alpha Ramshwana, Eyewitness News in Sandton.
To this now, Deputy President Paul Mashatile says it's too early to celebrate following the successful passing of the 2025 budget and national dialogue. Mashatile says 2025 saw the beginning of a national dialogue process to foster inclusive governance and greater social cohesion in the country. He says another milestone that tested the unity of the government of national unity was the budget, which was delayed for months due to disagreements amongst parties before its final adoption. But Mashatile says the country is still dealing with high levels of unemployment and other social ills. He was giving his annual address at the National Council of Provinces today, which focused on the delivery of services.
It underscored the effectiveness of collective efforts in addressing significant challenges and igniting meaningful change for all South Africans. However, Honorable Chairperson, it is far too early to sound the drums of victory. Millions of our people still wake up to the harsh realities, including of poverty, unemployment, the rising cost of living.
And Meta has started removing Australian children under the age of 16 from its Instagram, Facebook and Threads platforms. The move comes as the deadline for the country's social media ban looms. The under-16s social media ban is due to take effect from the 10th of December, but Meta alerted its users last month that it would begin shutting down accounts from today. The Australian government says the ban is aimed at protecting children from the harms of social media, but critics say the move may isolate certain groups who depend on platforms for connection and push children to less regulated corners of the internet. Gold is trading at $4,189.44 an ounce. The rand is at 17.03 to the dollar, 22.72 to the pound, 19.88 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $62.67 a barrel.
Leaving the Joburg CBD heading towards Riverlea, you can still expect about a 20-minute delay in the Amalgam Selby area. That's on Main Reef Road between Anderson and Nasrick. And in the Calvin Alex area, travelling towards Germiston, roadwork still slowing down traffic on the N3 southbound between the Platoon Change and London Road.
In your sport, Joe Root scores a century as England reached stumps on 325 for 9 on day one of second Ashes test. Arne Slot concedes that Liverpool have lost their fear factor, and Orlando Pirates to go into the AFCON break top of the Betway Premiership standings as Mamelodi Sundowns drop points.
It's a partly cloudy afternoon in Gauteng today with thunder showers expected. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 21 and 22 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour, judgment has been reserved in the arms deal corruption case against former President Jacob Zuma and French arms company Thales.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app, DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Very good afternoon to you and to all of you. It's 8 minutes past 3 on Thursday, the 4th of December. This is 702 Drive with me, John Perlman. Wherever you are listening to us in 702 land, welcome to the show. Police Minister on special leave, Senzo Mchunu, is currently appearing before the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. We'll wrap today's session after 5 with EWN's Oren Singh. Of course, based on the way the Commission's been going over the last few days, they may not be done until well into the evening. Putting in a shift they are. Some other stories we're covering. The presidency says South Africa is prepared to sit out the G20 next year in the face of, let's call it, U.S. hostility?
We don't need to mobilize anyone. We're not wired that way as South Africa. Every country must take its own decisions, and we are who we are, and we don't really peddle our role in any shape or form. People or countries respect us for what we are, and they applauded our role in the G20 for the manner in which we ran and managed the G20. So as South Africa, we leave every country to make up its own mind with regard to all that is happening.
So is this a wise decision? The words there, of course, of President Cyril Ramaphosa. I've got a view that I think it's too early to bail in the way that it seems that we now will. But I'll share those views later. Maybe you've got a thought that you can share on 072 702 1702. And linked to that, can we hope that away from the more performative realm of politics, trade and business talks with the United States firstly are underway and making progress, and crucially will continue? We'll look at that after 5. Why is our internet access still constrained and our data costs so high when Brazil, a country that is often cited as a good basis for comparison, has been able to offer much more for much less? We'll talk to Ashraf Patel. He's from the Institute for Global Dialogue. He's written a very interesting piece in this regard based on some studies he's done. And later we'll go behind the walls of the Bryanston house that got hijacked. In fact, we'll do that shortly with Alex Patrick of News 24. We've got all that and a whole lot more on 702 Drive, including breaking news from the roads in our regular traffic updates. We'll bring you the latest from the markets. Now, listen to this about the rand. On the markets, our currency has dipped below 17 rand to the dollar, currently trading at 16.97. That's an 11-cent gain over the past 24 hours. A euro will cost you 19.79. Our currency stronger by 14 cents. That's interesting because at times when we've done well against the dollar, much has been said correctly, I would think, about dollar weakness, but strong against the euro and doing well against the pound today as well. 22 rand 66 will get you a pound. That's a gain of 5 cents against sterling, again over the 24-hour period. JSE's lost 360 points today. Vodacom and Sasol both up by 3%, and Vodacom and Sasol are down by 3%, and Sibanye is down by 2.9%. Big upside, though, if you hold Sappi shares. That stock is up by 8.2%. Stephen Curtis has all the details from the markets and a look ahead to his 2 hours on 702 Drive, the money show between 6 and 8. Stephen with us at 4:25. We'll have sport with Tolakele Mganga. South Africa's cricketers yesterday. What a performance. Chasing down a huge total of 358 in India. She'll have that story latest from Ashes cricket as well. Mbali Dlamini joining us with the latest news headlines. Karabo Chali is keeping an eye on the roads. This is 702 Drive. We are live in the place where you live. If it's happening in 702 land, you will get to hear about it here first. And of course, if you hear about it here first, doesn't mean it comes from us. It may be one of you who've seen something, heard something, deduced something from a story already in the news where a couple of points, crucial ones, are being missed. Get in touch with us, please. Help us make the news on 072 702 1702 or 011 883 0702. It's 13 minutes past 3.
702.
Let's walk the talk.
As always, we've got lots to talk about, hopefully with you, lots to inquire about, hopefully, almost certainly with some very interesting guests, and lots to think about, including some kind of random thoughts either plucked completely out of left field or thoughts that come into our head because of the time of year. Now, for all those people who celebrate Christmas and maybe you do something special for other reasons during the festive season, gifts and presents for children. And I'm just wondering if any of you have a story to tell about the gift you really wish you'd never bought for your child. I mean, he just loves playing the drums. It won't be noisy. They say it's very quiet and you can always do it in the outside room. By way of example, I have a couple of my own. But gifts you just wish you never bought for your kid. Maybe you want to look back to your own childhood and you may think of gifts that your parents ended up wishing they had never bought for you. And in all of this, we can compile maybe a little warning list for people who are about to set off shopping, hoping to avoid the rush and maybe get themselves some bargains. So, Jonathan Fairbairn, a very good afternoon to you. I don't know if you've been involved in buying gifts for kids. Maybe you bought one for a friend's child and they've given you a look. Seriously? A water pistol that large?
Yeah, afternoon, John, and to our 702 family. So I always ask the parents, what do you think is a good idea to get the little one? Because,
yes,
if they get so many pieces of Lego or box of Lego and whatever it may be, then, or even they might think, no, we don't really want you to get our child that kind of thing because, it could be one of those annoying gifts. But I do remember I think it was last year or the year before, there was a karaoke microphone that you could buy. So it was a portable microphone and you could sing into this thing. So it would play some music and you could sing to it and it would give like a reverb and it would blast the music plus the voice of the person attempting to sing all across the room. Some parents loved it. Others were like, oh my goodness, this thing again. Some parents even stole it for themselves.
Okay.
I did see some of that. But yeah, I would probably think that is probably the one that comes off the top of my mind.
Yeah.
I haven't bought any irritating gifts, or so I'm led to believe, because I've had no complaints as of yet from the parents. But yeah, I could start this year.
Yeah. No. He already has one. But thank you for thinking of that karaoke microphone, which we've just managed to get rid of. So you're in this, very much in the space with your son, Karabo Charlie. Any regrets on once the wrapping was off?
Sheesh, those black plastic scooters that they push around the house, they push around around the yard. So we bought him that. It's good for the kids because it's exercise, but then the noise it makes when he's pushing it around the yard, on the driveway, pavement, and when his friends join him, it's like this biker mice gang, and then they're making a noise the whole day. You can hardly think. One of those. But then they're good for kids. Funny enough, we bought him a second one when he was getting older, and then the other one was small, and then we put him a bigger one. But he was like, oh my goodness, why am I putting myself through this?
Yeah.
But that bike has lasted. It stood the test of time.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember even riding that as a kid.
Yes, 100%.
Those little black scooters. And they're still going.
Yes,
so
I remember growing up, there was this kid called Jared.
Yeah.
And he loved coming to our house. And every time he was coming, we could just hear that scooter. We knew Jared is coming.
Jared's on his way.
Tell me, do you have a timer on this thing? I don't mean on the scooter, but do you say no scooter before 8 in the morning? I mean,
try negotiating with a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old. Let's see who wins that one.
Okay, get a
so
lawyer.
As soon as he's up, he's on that scooter. Hey?
Yeah. So you might have heard me say before, I don't have kids, but I do have grandsons and granddaughters, but they're in the US. And the one kid loves something called Beyblades, which are these spinning tops, and I think you play them in pairs, and there's an infinite number of these things. You pull a little plastic thread which has a kind of gear, then these tops spin.
Yeah.
And they make a lot of noise themselves, and it's whose top can knock the other ones, basically like tops. Except these things make an incredible noise, and it does appear to be obligatory that you scream and shout in support of your Beyblade. So we bought these, and I wouldn't do it again.
Beyblades.
Yeah, Beyblades. So I don't know. I don't want to be a spoil sport, but I won't be. Having bought 10, I think I'm not going to buy any more. Okay, so let's hear from you. Gifts that you wish you hadn't bought, and if you want to be kind to people, you may want to suggest that you are to people. Maybe give the karaoke microphone. The karaoke microphone is a lovely toy, but, see if you can get one that you can turn down remotely. It's 19 minutes past 3.
Drive Home with John Perlman
On 702, let's walk the talk.
Yep, drive home, but drive carefully and hopefully avoid the crush and the rush. What's it like so far, Karabo?
Well, I must say, John, not looking too bad at this hour throughout 702 land. However, we still have those roadworks causing delays in the Calvin Alex area. That's heading towards Germiston N3 southbound between the Bethune Change and London Road. Zooming into Protea Glen, I see already delays. This is on the N12 westbound between the R554 Abu Bakr Drive and the R558. Also leaving the Joburg CBD, traffic remains a bit sluggish in the Amalgam area on Main Reef Road between Anderson and Nasrec Road. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
20 minutes past 3. Let's turn now to a story that's really caught people's attention because it really is quite an extraordinary tale. And this is to do with a hijacked luxury home in Bryanston, very much making the news after the city authorities in the city of Johannesburg went there and discovered that behind the walls of what had been a luxury property, there were, I think, as many 70 structures that had been set up, and somebody was charging rent there. Well, the person who was there to see the place being breached and everything that was going on behind the walls revealed is News 24 journalist Alex Patrick, and she joins me now on 702 Drive. Alex, a very good afternoon to you. I understand initially when the authorities arrived, there was real resistance from somebody, I don't know who that person was, and an unwillingness to let them in. How was that particular conflict resolved? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me. Yes, that's exactly it. The gate, and obviously it's Bryanston, it's these huge walls and gates. The alleged owner, person we're alleging was the hijacker, would not allow authorities in, and eventually they had to actually breach the walls, climb over the fence, take the this massive metal gate off its hinges and kind of open it up for everyone to come in.
Yeah, and the person who was resisting, we heard some sound from that on, I can't remember on which platform, but I mean, who did they say they were?
So we know him as Lawrence. He goes by a few different surnames, so we're not really even sure if that is his name. He's given News 24 a number of documents which have turned out to be false. So we know him as Lawrence. Yeah.
So and I mean, on what grounds is he claiming the rights? Because I believe the person who has documents to say he's the owner was on site. I mean, what is his version of things?
Yeah, shame. The owner was on site. It's an incredible story. So in 2020, the owner's wife, they are estranged. She was living in the building, and her son went on holiday to Cape Town and got back, and there's 100 people living in their house. They weren't allowed entry, and they've been trying for 5 years to get people out, but I believe it's been through the wrong channels. The hijacker, on the other hand, claims that he is renting the house from somebody else.
Right.
We've seen that lease. It's riddled with errors and, spelling errors. There is the person's property, the lessor's property, leads you to an empty lot. So we tend not to trust that too much.
Yes. Alex, a description, if you will, please, about what you found once you were inside. I mean, lots of wooden shacks that had been set up. Seem to be more wood than actual sort of tin shacks. Who's living there, and what does it look like?
No, absolutely. And our team actually did a video on News 24 of the inside, because it's absolutely incredible. You cannot see from outside, but as soon as you get inside, the entire garden and it's just over 3 hectares. It's a huge property. The
Right.
entire garden is cheek to jowl these Wendy houses. So they call them Zozo huts.
Right.
And we've got families living in there. I believe there were 41 at their last count. And then the house itself had been completely restructured to create rooms. There are about 33 rooms in the house. I mean, the kitchen was divided and created 3 rooms. I mean, but in a way, the hijacker was quite a genius because,
Yes.
you know, he had set up solar power for when they cut the electricity. He had a JoJo tank. And then we realized they were using the swimming pool to direct their sewage away from the house. So, you know, it's kind of organized chaos, but definitely chaos.
Yeah, it is a really extraordinary story. Alex Patrick, thank you, News 24 journalist. By the way, if you do live in the area, or it's perhaps a property that you pass, maybe it's something that you've just come across, if you've got something to add or share, not so much on what we saw today, because we've got that very eloquently and adequately from Alex, but maybe you know something about the genesis of this. Presumably, not everybody arrived at the same time. And the wooden structures, the Wendy houses, Zozo huts, call them what you will, did not all arrive at the same time either. So anyone who's got something to add, a layer to the story, please do call us. 011 883 0702 and 072702 1702. 26 minutes past 3.
John Perlman
On 702.
3 to 6 p.m.
See, quite a few of you are telling us about those toys, gifts that you wish you'd never bought your child, or somebody whose child you bought it for came to you and said, don't buy the drum set again. Keep those coming. Same number I've just given you. Right, let's turn to this decision now in the appeal by former President Jacob Zuma. He was ordered to repay legal fees of 28.9 million rand. He was back in the Gauteng High Court appealing that, and his application for leave to appeal has been turned down. Judge Anthony Miller saying he's not persuaded that another court would come to a different conclusion. Let's bring in Karen Morn, legal journalist from News 24. Karen, good afternoon, and thanks for giving us your time. Before we talk about what the judge said, what options remain for the former president in this regard?
Well, I think he's going to do what he's always done, and that's to petition the Supreme Court of Appeal. And if that fails, then go to the Constitutional Court. But after that, you know, the rubber hits the road, and the ruling is very clear. The state attorney and the presidency must take all reasonable steps to recover that money, and that includes attaching his pension.
So, a timeline on that. I mean, I know it's imprecise, but one would assume 2 more possibilities, if I've understood you right. That could take, another 2-3 years, or am I perhaps overstating the duration?
No, I don't think it will be that long, because the consequence of this whole situation is that Judge Miller's ruling comes out of the SCA saying very conclusively that Jacob Zuma was not entitled to that money. This process was really about the state attorney and the presidency saying, this is what we believe he owes, these are all the invoices. He did not challenge any of that. He rather sought to relitigate the case and say, I shouldn't be forced to pay the money. The SCA did not explicitly say I had to pay it. And as a consequence, all the issues, the legal issues, have really been debated. So it's very unlikely that any court, including the SCA and the Constitutional Court, is going to allow him to relitigate this case. And interestingly enough, in Judge Miller's judgment, he actually says, you know, that there is no sort of basis for allowing this, and especially given that this particular litigant refuses to accept the judgments that go against him. So it's no point in giving him the right to appeal.
And just finally, Karen, is this, for people who are wondering, well, when was this bill run up? Was this specifically in the arms deal matter, or is it an accumulated total from a number of court cases?
No, this is solely in relation to the arms deal matter.
Okay.
Our listeners will remember he challenged the mutual legal assistance request to Mauritius. He challenged the MPA on not giving him the right to make representations or not, he challenged them on postponements. He challenged them on the search and seizure. He went to the Constitutional Court very many times. He even had a watching brief in the Shabir Sheikh corruption case. So, this has been going on for quite some time. And when the state attorney was ordered by the SCA quite a few years ago to then come up with a running total of everything that was spent, it came up with that 28.9 million rand, which the SCA described as litigating on a quote-unquote luxurious scale.
Thank you very much, Karen Moore, News 24 legal journalist. It's coming up now for 3:30. This Eyewitness News is brought to you by Vouch. Hassle-free insurance is possible with your Vouch advisor. Vouch SA is an authorized financial services provider. T's and C's apply. Bali Dlamini with the very latest news, starting down in the Eastern Cape and in particular the Walter Sisulu University.
That's correct, John. A very good afternoon. The South African Human Rights Commission has found that officers who responded to a demonstration at the Walter Sisulu University in May last year were not properly trained to handle the situation. The Commission released its report following an investigation into the unrest where live ammunition was allegedly used on protesting students. 14 students were injured during those demonstrations. Nhlanhla Mabaso reports.
The May 2024 protest at the Walter Sisulu University's Mthatha campus started as a peaceful sit-in. At the time, students expressed their frustrations about transport allowances, accommodation shortages and administrative inactions. However, after 3 days of no response from the management, the university deployed a private security company on campus. They used rubber bullets and pepper spray to disperse the students. This led to the students taking their protest on the N2 highway outside the institution's campus. The commission has found that although the students were not aggressive, the police officers who confronted them were not trained for public order policing. The 83-page long report says medical and ballistic evidence suggested that live ammunition was used on the protesting students. Nhlanhla Mabaso, Eyewitness News, East London.
The prosecution in the high-profile trial of alleged underworld gang boss Nafees Modak has wrapped up its lengthy cross-examination of Modak in the Western Cape High Court today. Modak, who faces 122 charges for various crimes, has been under cross-examination for 29 days. 14 co-accused are on trial along with Modak for allegedly operating a criminal enterprise. Carlo Peterson has more.
Prosecutor Greg Wolmerans rested the state's case against Nafees Modak today after 29 days of cross-examination. Wolmerans told the court the state will argue Modak used Empire Investment Cars as a front company to launder money to pay the co-accused on trial to commit crimes on his behalf. Modak has pleaded not guilty to the 122 charges he faces and insists he's a victim of a conspiracy by his alleged underworld rival Jerome Donkey Boyson and corrupt cops.
During 2019 and 2020, you managed a criminal enterprise. Indulged in crimes ranging from murders, multiple murders, attempted murders, corruption, money laundering. That's not true.
The matter will be back in court in January next year for Modak's re-examination to proceed. Carlo Peterson, Eyewitness News, Western Cape High Court.
Let's stay with court matters. The latest suspected gang shooting outside the Athlone Magistrates Court has again put the spotlight on safety around court precincts in the country. 2 men were shot dead minutes apart while walking out of the court building yesterday. This is the second such incident outside the same courthouse in just 3 months. It's also the fourth time someone attending court has been shot and killed in and around a magistrates court in Cape Town this year. Ntutuzelo Nene has more.
One of the victims of the Athlone shootings was shot outside the police station, which is right next to the court. Judicial monitoring organization Judges Matter has renewed calls for security to be beefed up outside court precincts in the country. Judges Matter senior researcher Mbegezeli Benjamin.
Although we acknowledge that this incident happened outside of the court precinct, so the Department of Justice would not be the department responsible for ensuring the safety, it does require that the South African Police Service in in the Western Cape intensify their patrols and other security measures around court buildings.
The gunmen responsible for the attack are still at large. Ndutuzelo Nene, Eyewitness News.
And in the US, Democrats have released dozens of fresh pictures of Jeffrey Epstein's house at St. James's Island. This is the island where victims have said he trafficked underage girls for sexual acts. The Department of Justice currently has until mid-December to release thousands of documents linked to civil and criminal cases involving Epstein. Democrats say they released the images to ensure public transparency in their investigation into the horrors which allegedly took place on the island. Epstein died in a New York prison cell in 2019 as he awaited, without the chance of bail, his trial on sex trafficking charges. It's a partly cloudy afternoon in Gauteng with thundershowers expected. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 21 and 23 degrees.
Leaving the Joburg CBD, that's coming from the Germiston area, heading towards Rivoli. There's still bumper-to-bumper traffic on the M2 westbound between Heidelberg Road and the Crown Interchange. Calvin Alex area roadworks causing heavy delays. N3 southbound between the Butler Interchange and London Road.
The top story in EWN, the South African Human Rights Commission has found that officers who responded to a demonstration at the Walter Sisulu University in May last year were not properly trained to handle that situation.
Let's be honest, no one actually reads the fine print. Those exclusions and clauses, clever wording that sounds helpful but isn't. And that's the thing with insurance. Everyone thinks they can do it themselves until boom, something goes wrong. That's where Vouch pulls through. Real advice, real people who actually know what repudiation means. Being smart isn't about knowing everything, it's about knowing who to ask.
Vouch, someone on the inside, on your side. Vouch SA is an authorized financial services provider. T's and C's apply.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
I am going to seek to persuade the commissioners that this is in part gratification. I'm not even suggesting it's the totality, but at least we know that at the moment of that letter of intention to commit, Mr. Matala had started making significant payments to you.
No.
Do you have a comment?
No, it's not that. As I'm saying that, he even promised me far more than that.
Oh, yeah. They got him now. He doesn't mention that Kat Matlala was busy sending him 20,000 rand in 2022. That's why Advocate Silo tells him that that was gratification because you had unlawfully and illegally authorized his company to use blue lights. He still wants to deny and lie.
Clements Maniatella.
9 to 12 on 702.
Business Outsurance are experts in business insurance for plumbers, electricians, and other tradesmen. Pumlani.
Switching to Outsurance was one of the best decisions that we've ever made. We needed business cover over 15 million. Outsurance came forth for us. At Kani, we sleep better at night, knowing that we always get something out of Outsurance.
Switch to Business Outsurance, and you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium. Visit outsurance.co.za. Switch and save today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
Pain management is a part of so many people's daily lives. With headaches, muscular pain, dental pain, menstrual pain, and even pain from tension. With Adcock Ingram OTC, build a pain survival pack for you and your family. With a comprehensive treatment range for mild to moderate pain, we have you covered all year round. Available over the counter at your pharmacy. Ask your pharmacist for the Adcock Ingram OTC Pain Survival Pack and visit beprepared365.co.za.
The Maibuye Africa concert, the rebirth of Ubuntu, returns for one unforgettable night only. Simpiwe Dana, Judith Sepuma, Malay, Langa Mavuso, Elvis Blue, and Sipo Hotsticks Mabuse, backed by a 20-piece orchestra conducted by Grammy Award winner Joe Arthur. Curated and produced by the visionary Billy Monama. Opera House State Theatre, Pretoria. Saturday, 6 December 2025 at 7:30 p.m. Tickets from 350 to 1,000 Rand at Web Tickets. Proudly supported by the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture and Brand South Africa.
702 was in conversation with Wits University on 702 Drive with John Perlman.
The big problem with African science is that there's not a lot of local discovery.
Right.
And we do a lot of translation from abroad, but nothing local. And we know that we're not good at manufacturing vaccines, drugs, pharmaceuticals, diagnostics. And so what we're trying to do is we're bringing a whole group of scientists together, interdisciplinary scientists, people who have got pharmacology background, people who are vaccine experts, people who understand immunology, virology, oncology and cancer. I mean, putting them together in this BioHub, and we are hoping that this interaction will be catalytic. And we have all the building blocks at Wits University. We have drug platforms, we have vaccine discovery. So we have a whole lot of things that we can integrate.
Visit wits.ac.za to learn more about the Wits BioHub, where science, technology, and collaboration come together to transform Africa's health landscape for good.
702. WhatsApp John
On 072
702
1702.
John, about the gifts, if anyone can actually delay buying their kids phones, I would suggest you do that. If it were up to me, I would only buy my son a phone after he finishes matric. I regret buying him a phone. He is very addicted to it. That child doesn't want to even study. He's always on his phone. The phone is the reason why he's failing, and it's supposed to be the reason why he's passing, but it's the other way around. Phones are very addictive to kids. It's a problem.
Hey, 702. Hey, I'm the child that they got the gift for. So now, I remember I was young, you know. I was like 5, and my cousin had a PlayStation 2, and I was like, yo, I really wish I had a PlayStation 2. And then my parents noticed that, hey, this guy likes playing on that PlayStation. So then they got the PlayStation 2, but it wasn't the original one. It was the second model that came out. Hey, ever since, my interests are in games. Like, even now, my parents are like, when are you gonna stop playing games? Are you not old? Nee. I'm like, hey, I could be doing other things. I could be like doing drugs or other stuff. But here I am playing games, safe at home. You know where I am. Yeah, but that's me.
Hi, 702. I am a resident of Bryanston. There are so many properties that are hijacked there. As soon as there is a for sale or sold house, they go in. And in one property not far from where I stay, it went up in flames, and there were over 100 people staying there. So it is all over Bryanston. Empty houses, people have left their properties. So yeah, Bryanston is under siege.
Yeah, it's an extraordinary story. It really is. Just that one property. Now we're hearing it's all over the place. A property goes up in flames. 100 people are living there. Anyone else? It doesn't have to be about Bryanston, by the way. Any other areas? I know when Alex posted her story, somebody was saying this is very common in Ekurhuleni as well. So let's build that conversation. Let's get as much information as we can, and then see how perhaps we can follow up on the story. 18 minutes to 4.
EWN Sport.
Tola Kelly, starting off with cricket. How was Aiden Markram and the Proteas yesterday? Pretty special, yeah?
It was, John, and this time around we start with the Ashes, where Joe Root finally managed a century. That's in Australia on his 30th attempt, as England reached stumps on 325 for 9 on day one of the second Ashes test. Root and Jafra Archer on 32 will resume their innings in the morning, looking to add to their partnership of 61 runs. Mitchell Stark has so far taken 6 for 71 to become the most prolific left-arm paceman in Test history, surpassing Pakistan's Wasim Akram. In taking Harry Brooks' wicket, he claimed his 450th wicket since making his debut 14 years ago. At the same time, Mark Wood has cast doubts on his ability to recover from a knee injury in time for the third Ashes test in Adelaide. He's sitting out this one and was seen with a brace on his left knee on day one at the Gabba, while he's told Australian media that he might not be fit until the fourth test, which starts on Boxing Day. Switching over to the Premier League, where Arne Slot admits that Anfield may be losing its fear factor for opposing teams. That's after Liverpool had to come from behind to draw 1-1 with Sunderland. The Reds have only kept 5 clean sheets in 22 games this season and failed to win 3 consecutive home games.
No, not Anfield, for sure. But it's clear that teams that play us now think they can get a result. Not only think, because that's been shown this season. And even in the games we've won, I think there also we fueled the confidence for other teams. Like, there's something possible, but because the wins we had in the beginning of the season weren't easy ones as well.
In the Betway Premiership, Mamelodi Sundowns missed out on a chance to move joint top with Orlando Pirates, having been held to a 1-0 draw by Suwelele. Kaizer Chiefs have also stumbled in their last game before the AFCON break, having played out a goalless draw with Chipa United. In terms of the Brazilians' results, Miguel Cardoso remains confident in them being able to retain their title.
Next match. That's the only way to play when you have several competitions ahead. This is an experienced club, experienced team, experienced players, experienced coach. Life is lived day after day because tomorrow everybody can be dead. We never know what happens. So in football it's the same. We prepare next match, we focus on the following one, always understanding who is in the best conditions to start a match. And that's what we did from the previous to this one, and that's what we're going to now do.
And in an update from the Nedbank Golf Challenge, Christopher Ritten is in the lead, 3 shots clear of Marcus Armitage, who's on 6 under. The best placed South African is Sean Norris in a tie for 7th on 4 under. Tholakele Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
3:45, traffic getting busy. Problems in Kelvin. Here's Karabo Chali.
Well, at this stage, John, if you're leaving the Calvin Alex area, we still have those roadworks causing heavy delays. N3 South, that's traveling towards Germiston, between the Butlu Interchange and London Road. I must say, though, traffic is not looking too bad across most parts of 702 land. The free-flowing traffic at this stage, if you're traveling through the Joburg CBD heading towards Boysons, also not looking too bad. If you're leaving the Edenville area or Tambo International Airport heading towards Joburg, things are looking quite good. Also in Soweto, there's free-flowing traffic. This is on the Golden Highway between Chris Hani Road and the N1. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive at 14 minutes to 4. Tholakele Mganga joins us for her thoughts on the question I asked a little bit earlier. Gifts that people give children that they end up regretting. We've got one here. Somebody says, this is very funny, not just the description of the problem, but their account of the solution. Graham says, that ShopRite scooter, I had to remove the front wheel while he was at creche. You haven't told us, Graham, what happened when your son got back from creche. But yeah, extreme measures to resolve what Graham thought was an extreme problem. Things that people give kids that they end up regretting.
That is the first one on my list as well. A few years ago, when I moved into the area I live now, my downstairs neighbor decided to buy his son that. But then earlier this year, I saw that it was in the dustbin. So I was like, I'm going to be free this December. But they've just had another baby. So I'm preparing myself in like 2 years that I'll be dealing with that again. And especially over New Year's Eve when they're buying crickets and then they're buying the bombs.
Yes.
Please don't buy your children that. It irritates us more than anybody else.
Oh, the fireworks.
Yes, it irritates us more than... No, none of that. I only accept like the bubble guns because those are cute. When you see those are the only gifts.
Water pistols?
No.
Tell me something. You say this neighbor is downstairs from you. So why didn't you take the scooter from the trash and then keep it handy, and every time you hear it, you go zinging across your floor? I mean, you would... it's just a thought.
I fear I'd become a trending video if anyone ever saw me doing that.
Now you know how I feel. I mean, it's been done before, actually. Okay, so please keep those coming on 011 883 0702 and 011 883 0702. Now, I wanted to just raise this. Now, I'll bring it up a little bit later because let's get into our next story. We are going to be talking after 4 to Jeff Wicks. There was an aspect of the Madlanga Commission that I wanted to highlight, but I'll save it for when we have Jeff. He's on at 4:10. Commissioner, I have to get that right because I've got used to calling him Brigadier. Commissioner Julius Mkhwanazi has finished round 1 of his testimony, and it's taken a long time already. He's been there a couple of days, but now it's the turn of the Minister on Special Leave of Police, Senzo Mchunu. Long title, and he's currently being questioned. But Jeff will talk to us about what we've learned from Commissioner Mkhwanazi so far. 11 minutes to 4.
Drive Home with John Perlman
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
Now, from time to time, I mention a website called theconversation.com, and it really is an excellent source of all sorts of interesting stuff. What they do is they take papers from people who've done more academic style research, either in institutes and institutions or at universities, and they turn them into very readable and accessible pieces about all sorts of things. When you go there, by the way, you can get the Africa feed. You can look at what's being covered in the United States or about the US, and you can find the same for Australia, UK, and Europe, I think. Anyway, it's diverse and it's rich. One of the stories that caught my eye was a story under this headline: Expensive data and poor internet access. South Africa fails to measure up against Brazil. And it contains in the third paragraph, or further in, actually, a little deeper into the story, this very, very important sentence. Brazil is a developing country, but has far exceeded South Africa in meeting digital access. So, what do we need to learn from this, and what do we need to learn about this? Let's welcome my next guest. Ashraf Patel is a senior researcher at the Institute for Global Dialogue. Mr. Patel, welcome, and thanks very much for giving us your time. Some quite sobering stuff there. If I go to the next sentence, it doesn't just compare us to Brazil, but more broadly. And you say South Africa's broadband rollouts for ordinary people, clinics, rural areas, and schools are weak compared to many medium and lower income countries. If we go back to South Africa versus Brazil, what did you measure, and how did you go about measuring that?
Thank you, John. Many things. The context, of course, being South Africa's hosting of the G20 presidency.
Right.
And that kind of follows Brazil's leadership and hosting of G20 in 2024 under President Lula. And within that context, a lot of the research work in the T20s, the Think 20s, kind of looked at this global south, as they call it, and in the themes of digital economy and digital transformation.
Right.
And one of the papers that we co-wrote did a comparison between the two, and it was quite a interesting and insightful research journey. And on that basis, some of the conclusions being that although we're part of the BRICS grouping, Brazil and South Africa are part of G20. They're both part of IPSA and the Global South leadership, but there's stark differences in outcomes,
Yes.
and especially socioeconomic outcomes, and as I said, digital access outcomes also. So that is being the context of the paper.
So, I mean, what did Brazil do? Did they do things different technically, or did they set out with a much clearer and more egalitarian purpose and focus?
Definitely. Remember, under President Lula in the early 2000s, they had a very clear social agenda, and that was about expanding opportunities, improving socioeconomic development in the very poor regions and the poor urban zones, such as the favelas. And over 20 years, they've managed to uplift at least 40 million plus people out of poverty. And so digital was one of many infrastructure programs and tools that they use in order to get ordinary people, working class people, marginalized people into the mainstream economy. I think that was the very, very big story and success of Brazil is compared to South Africa. So there's many dimensions. Technical is just one of them, where they've done exceptionally well. The other, of course, being policy and regulatory alignment.
Yes.
And then commitment and resources from government.
In terms of how we would measure this, I mean, let's focus, for example, on price before we look at access, which arguably would have at least some technical elements to it. But pricing, do they regulate in Brazil, for example, the internet service providers and the larger entities that create the internet, the tech highways more?
Definitely. They have very strong regulatory obligations. Telebras, the major telecoms company, they have commitments to roll out infrastructure in the rural provinces and poorer urban areas. The regulatory system makes it compulsory for universal service funds and projects in the favelas, for instance. And there's a lot of programs at multi-level government, meaning that the federal government, the state, as well as metros are all actively involved in rollouts, not just of infrastructure, but also what is called digital literacy and digital information and content services with very strong cultural content as well.
Right.
So you put that together, it boosts traffic and it keeps the content local as well. So that's the secret of their success.
In terms of comparisons with other countries on our continent, Mr. Patel, you note that we have the highest charges in Africa. Is that, though, not a function of what the market will bear, that telcos look at this and say, well, if we charge any more, nobody will, not nobody, but we'll lose customers. Whereas in South Africa, well, we might complain, but we cough up.
Yes. I think South Africa has kind of unique challenges, one being the policy and regulatory disconnect. So we do have the policy frameworks over a decade or two, but we have fairly weak kind of regulatory oversight. And both the Competition Commission and ICASA have made inquiries in the last several years, and they still point out that there is major gaps in terms of what the operators say they're going to do and what they actually do. So prepaid being very expensive. And secondly, the lack of broadband. So customer broadband, besides telecom, there's very little customer broadband rollouts. But it is gaining some traction in some urban areas. But the problem with South Africa is that it's very uneven rollouts.
Yes. And just finally, I mean, you located this right from the start in the context of 2 years of the G20. And obviously over those 2 years, lots of sharing of information, policy ideas, and so on. Are there some of them that we could start implementing soon and that might get some traction? I mean, my worry is whenever we talk about any kind of reform in this area, it's the subject of huge plans and large discussions, but are there some quick wins?
Yes, there are a few. I think a rollout of broadband to schools and clinics are clearly big wins for the social expansion. And then on top of that, you can experiment with digital public infrastructure to enable financial inclusion, as Brazil and India are doing. Mm-hmm. So those, I would say, would be two potential wins if we were to work in alignment. So alignment between national, provincial, and local is very important, and also interdepartmental. So science and innovation, higher education, basic education, health, they need to come together in order to do an integrated rollout of these digital services.
Thank you very much, Ashraf Patel, Senior Researcher at the Institute for Global Dialogue. Head off to theconversation.com. You can read this piece in more detail. And as I say, what I found very interesting was the areas of focus of the comparisons he made, South Africa and Brazil, South Africa and other African countries. And yeah, it's important that we look at what other countries do and if they do it better or smarter than we do in one way or another, even if it's in small ways. Hopefully we can learn. 2 minutes to 4.
Africa Milani.
Weekday mornings,
4 to 6.
You want to pick up on funerals and how we clearly are no longer regarding them with the same level of sanctity as we did in the past.
Why buy me roses when I am no longer? How do you dig up a grave? Those people remaining have got now just believe this is now a sudden black thing. You cannot be buried in an ordinary coffin because you'll be talk of the town. That is why I'm a Radio 702 listener, because you guys have got brilliant ideas.
Thank you, Lindy. Thank you. That's very, very kind of you.
Africa Milani.
4 to 6 on 702.
The crazy stores, the deals galore, and everything you need from tinsel presents wrapping and a star for your Christmas tree. We've got all sorts of games and sports, many toys to buy. Stationery, arts and crafts, come on and don't be shy. No need to panic shop, we're your one-stop Christmas spot. Your table will be dressed and you will not be stressed. When Christmas Eve is here, you'll want to sing and cheer. I got everything at the crazy store and I can't wait for next year.
Hey, you never know what you might find this Christmas.
You want to build a quality home, the eye-catching jewel of the town, but your personality type is bargain hunter. It's only been 2 months and your quality home is the neighborhood nightmare. So abantu bazotini about the peeling paint that you call abstract art, the cracked walls that look like frown lines. Skip the embarrassment and the hunting. Make smarter decisions for your home. Visit Cash Build online to order quality cement, paint and more at the lowest prices. Cash Build.
Every day I'm hustling. It's our reality as business owners. And it's good to know that there's someone out there who takes care of the business that makes the business. Gotta love My Way Business Insurance. Saving big on premiums with 24/7 emergency services, plus My Business Assist with marketing, legal, and labor advice services.
Visit myway.co.za or dial 0860 64 64 64 and get a quote today. My Way is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's, C's, and standard rates apply. My Way. Live your way.
This is EWN.
Former President Jacob Zuma still has to pay back the money, and the Madlanga Commission hears of alleged human rights violations. Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. Former President Jacob Zuma has been dealt yet another legal blow. He has lost his Gauteng High Court bid to appeal the order that he has to pay back the 28.9 million rand bill for his private legal fees. The court turned down Zuma's application for leave to appeal the payback judgment. In October, Judge Anthony Miller issued a range of orders in respect to money advanced for Zuma's legal fees and associated expenses. Orders were also made for the payment of interest. Zuma applied for leave to appeal against the whole judgment and the orders granted. He has always maintained that the court's reasoning that he benefited from the state is fundamentally flawed. Let's stay with the former statesman. Judgment has been reserved in the arms deal corruption case against the former president as well as French arms company Thales. In the latest legal battle, the two are seeking leave to appeal a ruling which dismissed an application to have charges against them dropped. The charges in the 2 decades-long matter relate to the multi-billion rand arms deal which government entered into with Thales in 1999. The matter returned to the High Court in Pietermaritzburg today. Tabiso Koba has more.
Since this matter was first enrolled in court back in 2005, former state President Jacob Zuma has launched 8 interlocutory applications, while Thales has filed 4. State prosecutor Wim Trengrove says these, quote, hopeless applications only serve to delay and frustrate court processes. As a result, Trengrove has submitted what he calls the Stop Stalingrad Tactics application.
Now, you can't stop the accused from bringing further such applications. They are entitled to bring whatever applications they will, but what one can do is to refuse to delay the trial any longer, merely because there are such applications pending. And that, my lord, is the purpose of this application, is for the court to direct that the trial must go on, regardless of whatever pending applications for leave to appeal there might be in the background.
Trengrove says he is aware that if the application is granted, the accused will probably challenge it all the way to the Constitutional Court. Tabiso Koba, Eyewitness News.
The Madlanga Commission of Inquiry has heard accusations of incidents of gross human rights violations by members of the Political Killings Task Team. Suspended Police Minister Senzo Mchunu resumed his testimony before the Commission this afternoon. Mchunu has been outlining reasons why he took the decision to disband the PKTT in December last year. But his disbandment instruction was never formally implemented, with National Police Commissioners overriding his authority by allowing the PKTT to continue to exist. Oren Singh reports.
According to Senzo Mchunu, the PKTT far outlived their core mandate of dealing with politically motivated murders. He claims PKTT members were involved in acts of human rights violations in the manner in which they conducted their operations and investigations.
The National Political Killings Task Team has for some time been credibly accused of systematic human rights violations.
Nkunu says in some instances, PKTT members conceal their identities when conducting operations, which shouldn't be the case in a democracy.
It's quite concerning to hear stories here and there of members of PKTT wearing balaclavas.
Nkunu cited the arrest and detention of lawyer Sarah Berger, who accused the PKTT of abuse after she exposed graft corruption at the University of Fort Hare. Arun Singh, Eyewitness News.
We shift our focus to this now. Student leaders at Walter Sisulu University say despite the outcomes of the South African Human Rights Commission's probe into that institution, their grievances have not been resolved. The Commission issued a report on the May 2024 unrest in which 13 students were allegedly shot at with live ammunition. While the SRC has welcomed today's report, it's concerned that student concerns, including transport, allowances and poor living conditions, still exist at the university. Nhlanhla Mabaso reports.
Part of the Commission's recommendations to Walter Sisulu University is for a structured grievance meeting to be held with the SRC within 60 days. But the SRC says in 2 months, the institution would have started the 2026 academic year. SRC member Asandi Lelandu says the issues which often result in protests may spark more demonstrations.
I did raise that on the Commission that the issues that we are fighting for, they are not new. We are having an incident like this each and every year, whereby the university will just hire a private company to shoot at student, claiming that they are protecting their property. While you are protecting the property, you should also protect the lives of students.
Landu cited this year's April protest, which resulted in the death of student Sisonke Mbolegwa. He says they want the Commission to ensure such protests do not occur. The Commission has also discouraged protests that take place at the start of every academic year. Nhlanhla Mabaso, Eyewitness News, East London.
To this now, President Cyril Ramaphosa says plans to shun South Africa from the G20 meetings hosted by the United States cannot go unchecked. Ramaphosa made the comments today on the sidelines of Cosatu's Gold Day at the Johannesburg Country Club ahead of the Trade Union Federation's 40th anniversary. Diplomatic tension between Pretoria and Washington again escalated after the US snubbed the G20 Leaders Summit but demanded the bloc hold off on a declaration. In another unwarranted attack on South Africa, US Secretary of State Marco Rubio falsely accused the country of persecuting white Afrikaners. Ramaphosa says the US's announcement to snub South Africa is an overreach.
The United States has said that South Africa will not be invited. We have not seen that in writing yet. We've just heard the media publications. We are yet to receive it in writing, and we will deal with that when it comes. We are, as South Africa, a fully fledged member of the G20, and we have held a very successful G20.
Ramaphosa was speaking there on the sidelines of Cosatu's Golf Day at the Joburg Country Club. Gold is trading at $4,189.43 an ounce. The rand is at 17.06 to the dollar, 22.72 to the pound, 19.88 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $62.67 a barrel.
In Irene, there's slow-moving traffic on Main Road approaching Nelmay Pierce Drive, while in Calvin Alex, roadwork still causing heavy delays N3 southbound between the Bethleans Change and London Road, and in Bryanston, traffic sluggish on the N1 southbound from Rivonia Road to Winnie Mandela Drive.
In your sport, Joe Root scores a century as England reach stumps on 325 for 9 on day one of second Ashes test. Arne Slot concedes that Liverpool have lost their fear factor, and Orlando Pirates to go into the AFCON break top of the Betway Premiership standings as Mamelodi Sundowns drop points.
A partly cloudy Friday in store for Gauteng tomorrow with scattered showers and thundershowers expected. Johannesburg dropping to overnight lows of 13 degrees, peaking at a high of 25. Pretoria 16 and 26 and Vereeniging 14 and 26 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour, former President Jacob Zuma has been dealt another legal blow, losing his Gauteng High Court bid to appeal the order to pay back the money.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
7:02.
Drive Home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
On 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
7:02 Drive, it's 9 minutes past 4. How's your Thursday been? How's your drive home going? We'll get you home as best we can with regular traffic reports. The first of those coming up in a moment with Karabo Chale. In our weekly feature, Your House, Your Home, we're going to do something a little bit different today. We're going to step out of the home and the garden. You know, we tend to look at the place where you live. We're going to focus on neighborhoods today, and in particular, an issue of illegal dumps in Kaya Sands. That's part of the problem. But the other is the burning of material on those dumps. I would suspect that this kind of environmental problem is not just limited to Kaya Sands. So you'll be keen, I'm sure, to hear the thoughts of Keith Elliott, who's volunteer director at Kaya Sand Burning Wasteland. He's with us at 10 to 5. The Madlanga Commission of Inquiry will have two takes on the show over the next hour. After 5, we'll deal with what's on right now. Minister of Police on special leave, Senzo Mqunu, is giving evidence. Oren Singh is listening in. But I think it's crucial that we do look back on what came up in the questioning and testimony of the head of the Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department, Commissioner Julius Mkwanazin. We'll do that with Jeff Wicks, who is the journalist who originally began exposing what was going on out in Ekurhuleni. On the subject, by the way, of the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, I'd love to get the thoughts of anybody who has watched it, because much of what you watch can be, put it bluntly, incredibly depressing. I mean, there's nothing new in the general sense. It confirms what we know, what we've read about, what we talk about on this radio show, but it can be pretty bleak watching. But I have been massively impressed with and inspired by evidence leader, Advocate Mahlape Silo. She has been just brilliant. The clarity of her questions, the logic of her arguments, and on the one hand, and maybe this is the most important thing, the way in which she gives respect to the people that she's questioning, but at the same time, in a very quiet and really unperformative way, insists on respect for the process, for the commission, and I think probably on respect for herself. Watch her in action. If you haven't seen it, go online and just check out the way she's gone about things, because I think she's been absolutely excellent. And there have been some other good people as well. I did speak last week. We had a little debate about Norman Aronson, his performance in the equivalent process that's being run in Parliament. And there was talk about what constitutes doing this job well. Well, this is doing the job extremely well. Advocate Mahlape Silo certainly raised my optimism levels a great deal watching her in action. 12 minutes past 4. We've been talking about hijacked homes and a number of other issues as well. Let's hear what you had to say in response.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Afternoon, John. Brixton, Mayfair, those two areas also have lots of houses where so many people are living in those properties, you know, and some of them are not even hijacked properties. They've got rightful owners. These owners, they cramp people in one property and they receive rent. And the hazardous conditions that these people are living in is shocking.
I don't mean to be a bummer here, but how can we talk about broadband and internet and all sorts of things at schools when we don't even have flushing toilets at schools? I think we need to start with the small things that are more important. But anyway.
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting point raised at the end there, and thanks for the update on Mayfair and areas nearby that on the west side of Joburg. We often get into that conversation about, well, we shouldn't do this until we've done that. But I think societies move in lockstep with a whole lot of different things going on. And the people who provide broadband may not necessarily be the people who would be providing toilets. And in fact, it may not even come out of the same budgets. For example, the capacity to enable broadband in schools resides very much with the private sector. The obligation to, and indeed the budgets for, building of toilets in schools resides in the public sector. And I think we can and we should look at ways to actually go and uplift both. The other issue you raised is flushing toilets. Well, yes, that is an ideal, but there are many parts of the country where schools and development agencies have taken a different view, where you have massive scarcity of water. Maybe flushing toilets aren't the best option because the water scarcity will not sustain their ongoing functioning. So, yeah, good question to ask. I think the answers, though, for me are quite complex and nuanced, and for that reason, very, very interesting. 4:15.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by South African Airways. SAA now operates 2 flights a day to Gaborone with morning and afternoon departures. Book now at flysaa.com. Karabo Chale, tell us what's happening. Good news if you have it, but hey, if there's bad news, be gentle.
I must say, though, traffic not looking too bad and not a typical afternoon rush that we used to. So I guess it's most kids opting not to go to school since they finished with the exams. So traffic is much lighter. Let me start in Irene. There's where there's traffic pressure. This is on Main Road approaching Nelmain Pierce Drive. In Calvin Alex area, there's those roadworks also causing heavy delays. N3 southbound between the Baclu Interchange and London Road. In Bryanston, traffic sluggish. M1 south from Rivonia Road to Winnie Mandela Drive. And in Midrand, expect some delays. N1 northbound from the Baclu Interchange to Samrand. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Experience Johannesburg to Gaborone with South African Airways, where comfort meets convenience. Enjoy premium service, flexible morning and afternoon departures, and the warm hospitality SAA is known for. For a limited time, return fares start from just 2,762 Rand all-inclusive. Book by 4 December at flysaa.com. South African Airways, bringing you closer. T's and C's apply.
Take a ride back to the greatest decades in music.
Because Saturdays on 702
are all about timeless tunes.
At 10 a.m.
Kenny Maestri sets the stage with the greatest hits of the 80s
and 90s. At 2 p.m., Pushaza Sibia keeps the nostalgia flowing
with more classics you can't help but sing along to.
Then at 5 p.m., Richard Mwamba
celebrates the sounds of the continent
with This Is Africa.
It's more than just music.
It's your Saturday wrapped in the sounds you love.
Only on 702.
702.
Let's walk the talk.
Your uncle says buy the other brand. He also still uses a Hotmail address. You do you. You do Mini. The Mini Countryman. Available from 9,899 Rand per month with Mini Select Finance. Visit mini.co.za to book your test drive. Select offer only available from Mini Financial Services, a division of BMW Financial Services South Africa Pty Limited, an authorized financial services and registered credit provider. Offer exclusively applies to the Mini Countryman. Initiation and service fee apply. Offer linked to the current prime rate, calculated on a 10% deposit, 48 monthly installments, final GFV payment, and 80,000 kilometer contract limit. Changes to the deal and optional extras will impact finance offer. Offer valid until 31 December. Subject to stock availability. T's and C's apply.
You want to build a quality home, the eye-catching jewel of the town, but your personality type is bargain hunter. It's only been 2 months and your quality home is the neighborhood nightmare. So abantu bazotini about the peeling paint that you call abstract art, the cracked walls that look like frown lines. Skip the embarrassment and the hunting. Make smarter decisions for your home. Visit Cashbuild online to order quality cement, paint, and more at the lowest prices. Cashbuild.
The Money Show.
Weekday evenings at 6.
a gift for the South African economy, business confidence looking up. Another one of the positive numbers that have come in more recently around the South African economy.
Overall, it is low inflation, which has helped. It's lower inflation target, but also it is interest rate reductions that we have seen, but also that we expect as we move into next year. Is the credit rating upgrade from S&P? All of those things have been positive.
Isaiah Mhlanga, Chief Economist.
The Money Show
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show is brought to you by ABSA CIB. Invested in your story because your story matters. ABSA is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Well, as I mentioned, Police Minister on special leave, Senzo Mchunu, is currently appearing before the Madlanga Commission, but this comes at the end of a very, very long session involving the suspended Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department Chief, Julius Mkhwanazi. It's been very, very interesting indeed, and somebody who would have had a particularly keen eye on it would be my next guest. Jeff Wicks is News 24 investigative journalist who broke stories, many of them around the relationship between Vusimuzi Matlala, the Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department, then Brigadier Mkhwanazi, and various issues around blue lights. So let's get his sense of what he made of what he has heard so far, because, by the way, Commissioner Mkhwanazi will be back. Jeff Wicks, a very good afternoon to you. I've watched, and I must say I found it quite compelling at times, but it did seem to me there was a very important moment where it was made very clear, and even with his well-tried path of trying to change the subject, Commissioner Mkhwanazi very swiftly had to admit that he had received large amounts of money from Matlala, with the evidence leader advocate Silo indicating that there may well be more evidence of that kind to come. Was this new to you, or had you learnt about it before?
Good afternoon, John. Thank you for having me. Yes, the cash payments were new to me, and certainly it has been a suspicion for a very long time. When we first started writing the story and exposed Matlala's access to the EMPD and his illegal use of blue lights, we understood that there was likely a quid pro quo at the end of this, and that was codified in this morning's testimony, where it was revealed that Brigadier Mkhwanazi actually took at least 70,000 rand from Matlala, and then the entire scheme begins to make sense, at least logically in one's mind.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a quite extraordinary moment, because she asked him a very straightforward question. She said, have you ever taken money from Matlala, yes or no? He said yes, but she said it's either yes or no. I'm paraphrasing here. And then Justice Madlanga said, I think the but is very interesting. And from there, it all seemed to flow.
Absolutely. I think his evasiveness has sort of been a hallmark of his testimony. I was at the commission yesterday, and I watched him attempt to drown himself with bottled water because he was so nervous and anxious. And his chicanery was on display. He was avoiding answering pointed questions with yes or no answers. Instead, he would, embark on these wild tangents. But that was brought to an end with a stern warning last night to say that there will be consequences for people who lie to this commission. And this morning, he painted himself into a corner. And this is so valuable for us to understand, because it tells us exactly how an organization like the EMPD can be captured, how the top cop in that organization was willing to sell off the authority of the state for a fee, and a small fee, as embarrassing as it is. But this gives us a sense of how the back end of capture and cash extraction works. Vusimuzi Matlala had no business having blue lights in his cars. We've proven that he used them. We've proven that his wives used them going to the airport and going on holiday. And we've proven Vusimuzi Matlala a liar. And this morning, in his testimony, Brigadier Mkhwanazi did the same.
What also struck me, Jeff, and to some degree, I think we got this during the questioning of the former city manager, Dr. Imogen Mashazi. But let's stay with Commissioner Mkhwanazi just for a moment. I mean, he almost described the kind of casual way in which people in his position solicit donations and create conversational spaces that invite other people to fill them with promises of money. He said, no, but I was telling him about my challenges, and I've got this challenge with my child's school fees and so on. I mean, there's obviously the very carefully planned and structured corruption, but you almost get a sense of a very fertile, I don't know what to call it, conversation and extraction space that you just have to wonder whether that's, part of government now as we know it.
No, absolutely. And I mean, we've seen it time and time again. This, the machinations of exactly what happened between Matlala and Mkhwanazi shouldn't shock us because it happens all the time.
Yes.
People find a need to pay their way. And as a result, they get access to ill-gotten gains. In some cases, it's a tender. In this instance, it's blue lights, the preserve of the police. Now, the damaging import of this is that what exactly did Mkhwanazi use these blue lights for? That he was never entitled to. We can prove that his wives used them for non-emergencies like holidays and taking the kids to school, but we don't have a full picture of exactly how long he had the lights fitted and what they were used for in their entirety. And again, it tells us about Matlala's access to law enforcement. And that's really at the heart of this entire commission, is how he was able to buy his way in. And the instance that we're talking about with Brigadier Mkhwanazi is a case in point.
So, I mean, as I watched, I was trying to figure Mkhwanazi out, Commissioner Mkhwanazi. You call him Brigadier right at the beginning. He said
that's you and everyone else, John. I think everyone's been trying to figure this man out for the past 2 days.
Yes, and I mean, he, on the one hand, he was doing the kind of, likable guy with stories and anecdotes, and so I just said to him, and he changes his voice and clearly sees himself as a raconteur, occasionally doing the kind of likable rogue thing when he gets cornered. If I had a tequila shot for every time he said humble apologies, I think I'd be in ICU. But the big question is this: that can easily cover up the seriousness of what's going on. And my next question for you on that, in that vein, Jeff, would be what else is he going to be called to account for? Because some of the stuff away from blue lights, which some people say, well, that's not all that important. My sense is that it's actually some quite serious stuff.
John, what I've come to learn doing this for a while is that how one person does one thing is often how they do everything.
Yes.
So, it opens the door for much more trouble, not least for the EMPD. And in respect of Mkhwanazi, a key takeaway from me was really his intellectual poverty. Likeable in some instances, yes, but otherwise just not a very smart character. And then it says, well, these are the people we place at the tiller of our law enforcement agencies, and we wonder why crime and by-law enforcement falls apart. This man was unable to answer questions directly. He couldn't remember dates. He even said he doesn't send emails. This is not a person who's capable of sending cogent emails. And how is it possible that this person has managed to ascend to the very zenith of the EMPD in front of more deserving candidates?
And just finally, in responding to the point you made, maybe not intellectually strong, but you got a sense of somebody with a lot of craft and a lot of wow.
Yeah, certainly. There's certainly a cunning about Mkhwanazi, but I mean, as soon as you place that supposed cunning in front of three very learned legal minds,
yes,
it takes less than 48 hours to unravel. And I think that's an important point, because our public officials are seldom questioned in this manner. And when they are, they're exposed.
Yes.
And this is all it really takes to force accountability, is putting them in a chair, really making it clear that they cannot move until they answer questions. And then we get closer to the truth, which we've been desperately searching for many years at this point.
Thank you so much, Jeff Wicks, News 24 investigative journalist. I'll explain the little chuckle in my voice. I mean, I'm just running late for so many things because I find myself standing in front of the TV with the remote and my thumb on the off button, looking at the Madlanga Commission, and I can't move. It really is compelling. And I thought the point Jeff made right at the end there is, when you subject government performance and bring accountability into the harsh glare of very, very sharp and well-prepared, learned, legal minds, I beg your pardon. A lot of questions get answered. I wouldn't say quickly, but very, very clearly indeed. What do you think? I'm struck that we're making some progress. I get that this doesn't lead to arrests, and people always say, where are the orange overalls? Are they being fitted for anyone in particular? But there's something going on here that I think matters. 28 minutes past 4.
EWN Business.
Stephen Curtis, a very good afternoon to you. The markets, please.
Good afternoon, John. If only all of our guests had to take an oath before they came on 7:02.
Yes.
I've often thought, wouldn't that change the game? So the rand breaking through the 17 rand to the dollar barrier, John. Look, it's been a couple of days of consistent dollar weakness for various reasons, but the rand to the dollar now 16.97. Call it, or if you prefer, 16.96.723. So certainly we're seeing a slightly stronger rand, but really I think a weaker dollar. The gold share is, the JSE All share is down 0.12%, 111,199 points. Financials up 0.52%, industrials up 0.37%, resources down 1 1/3%. Gold slightly weaker than it was. But the story of the day is Sappi. John, investors really chuffed with Sappi. They're up 8% on the day. They've announced that lower prices for graphic paper are pushing them into a joint venture with the Finnish firm. It's UPM Kymmene. The two will now merge their graphic paper product capacities. They'll then reallocate their production to whichever has the more efficient machine. So they'll create a joint venture and go from there. Sappi says the operation synergies will be at least 100 million euros a year. Various hoops to get through. Shareholders are one of them. On this share price, shareholders will approve, but I think regulators might be slightly difficult. But the market for graphic paper is getting smaller, so hard really for regulators to get too involved in all of that. Vodacom, they're buying a controlling share of Safaricom, the biggest operator in Kenya. They have 2/3 of the market there. Vodacom will spend 36 billion rand in buying the share from the Kenyan government. That takes their holding in Safaricom to 55%. Wouldn't be surprised if their branding turns to red at some point in the near future. The Kenyan government will keep 20%. Naspers is up 2.2%, Tungela up 1.95%, and Mondi is up 1.69%, while Standard Bank is up nearly 1.5% on the day. Some of the platinum miners down. John Sibanye is down nearly 4%. And then some of the gold miners down too. DRD Gold, Anglo Gold, Harmony all down by around 3%. Cecil down 3.5% again today, and possibly because of slightly consistent sort of lower oil prices at the moment. In the US, we're expecting a slightly positive day. We are expecting, though, more questions around the new round of economic data that's due to come from the US federal government, and then also just waiting to see about interest rate expectations there. The gold price, $4,204.06 an ounce. Platinum, $1,635.66. Brent crude, $62.96 a barrel. The rand to the dollar, 16.97 to the euro, 1981 to the British pound, 22.67. Stephen Curtis, EWN Business.
Thanks, Stephen. 28 minutes to 5. News time. Here's Mbali Dlamini.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. Deputy President Paul Mashatile says U.S. President Donald Trump's current stance towards South Africa is problematic. But Mashatile says it will not derail the declaration from the G20 hosted in the country. He's also ruled out any boycott of next year's G20 in the United States by South Africa. Mashatile was addressing Parliament's Press Gallery Association earlier today. Babalondenze reports.
Deputy President Paul Mashatile has acknowledged that the United States' attitude towards South Africa is not ideal. But Mashatile says the rest of the G20 must move on with plans agreed upon at the Leaders' Summit in Johannesburg.
President Trump's posture is problematic, but it will not derail the G20.
He says the US might end up being the only country opposed to the declaration should it choose to disregard what this year's G20 decided on.
The countries that were in South Africa this year are moving forward with the implementation of the declaration. And to the extent that the US may want to ignore some of those, they might end up being the only country that does so.
He also says the US G20 may not be as rigorous with fewer guests and participants. Babalo Ndense, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
We shift our focus to this now. Health Minister Dr. Aaron Motsoaledi has called for accountability after 2 cases of negligence which led to the deaths of patients in hospitals in Limpopo as well as Gauteng. The call follows a report released by the Health Ombud yesterday which revealed disturbing findings at some hospitals, highlighting serious breaches in clinical and ethical standards. In Limpopo at the Pietersburg Provincial Hospital, investigations found severe staff shortages, inadequate equipment as well as poor care, while at the Wits Donald Gordon Medical Centre in Johannesburg, a series of care failures led to the death of a patient. Puleng Make reports.
A damning health ombud report prompted by complaints from families of 2 patients who died at the Gauteng and Limpopo hospitals has revealed substandard care that led to one of the deaths and a medical procedure that caused a stroke in the other patient who later died. Peter Rampele died at the Pietersburg Provincial Hospital in Limpopo last year, while 64-year-old Dr. Edward Mabubula died at the Wits Donald Gordon Medical Centre in 2021. The Health Ombudsman, Professor Taule Mokoena, released his findings, saying the findings are deeply concerning and unacceptable. Mokoena is calling for sweeping reforms, including improved staffing, infrastructure upgrades, and better adherence to medical protocols to prevent such incidents happening in the future. Puleng Make, Eyewitness News.
And in other health matters, the World Health Organization says deaths linked to malaria rose last year, warning of an increase in resistance to current treatment. There were over 282 million cases and 610,000 deaths recorded worldwide in 2024. This is slightly up from the previous year, underlining the mosquito-borne disease as a continuing serious global health issue. The organization says the increase in deaths and cases, combined with funding cuts, threaten to roll back the progress that has been made over the past 2 decades. A partly cloudy Friday in store for Gauteng tomorrow, with scattered showers and thundershowers expected. Lows of between 13 and 16 degrees and highs of between 25 and 26.
Irene, expect about a 30-minute delay on Main Road. This is approaching the Maypierce Drive. Tembisa, slow-moving traffic, R21 northbound. This is heading towards Olifantsfontein Road, and in Edenville, traveling towards Bedfordview. Traffic pressure, R24 westbound between Edenville Road and the Gilulis interchange.
The top story in EWN, Deputy President Paul Mashatile says U.S. President Donald Trump's current stance towards South Africa is problematic.
702 afternoons.
With Relebohile Maboja, 1 to 3 p.m.
What are some of the things that you think people can be doing during this time? Even not being Christians, we know that Christmas is usually reserved for family.
True. So the important thing for me in celebration of Christmas will be to honor Christ. Number 2 will be for families to come together for food and fellowship. Number 3, it will be to express love to one another. Number 4, to show gratitude. In whatever way you can do that, it's not limited to any other way. But let it be a season where we are showing love, gratitude, and unity and living together.
Pastor Masisi Tebalo, who's a biblical commentator.
702 afternoons.
With Relebohile Maboja.
Let's walk the talk.
At Auto & General, we understand your business is built on more than just vehicles. It's your stock, tools and equipment, and the premises where you work. Auto & General Business Insurance is designed for businesses like yours, protecting your assets against fire, theft, storms, and other unexpected events. To protect your livelihood, visit autogen.co.za and get an obligation-free business insurance quote. Auto & General, never not there. Auto & General is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's and C's online.
Some moments only come around once, like the Audi year-end sale. Get the Audi Q2 from $9,899 per month. With no deposit, a 90-day payment break, so you only start paying next year. Plus, a guaranteed buyback. There's limited time to show up, but unlimited time to stand out in the Audi Q2. Visit audi.co.za or your nearest Audi dealer before the 24th of December. T's and C's apply.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
I don't mean to be a bummer here, but how can we talk about...
Yeah, we did actually play that voice note a little bit earlier, and we had a little discussion about the question being asked, by the way, by that listener was, should we be talking about broadband in schools when you don't have flushing toilets? And I gave my thoughts on that, but your thoughts would be welcome on 072 702 1702 and 011 883 0702.
Good afternoon, John. I've been listening to the interview with your guest there, and I'm listening when he was saying the Mkwanazi was not supposed to be on the post because he's not intellectually very good. You know, I've been saying this, that I don't think he was put there to do a job. He was put there to be manipulated and used, because if he cannot send an email, obviously they know that he's very poor with technology, God forbids, and that can put him in a very, very compromised situation. They can just send things knowing very well that he's not going to be able to read them, but he will just sign them. And then that he was put there deliberately.
Yeah, thanks for those views, and keep them coming, please. Your thoughts, 011 883 0702. I see a couple of you wanting to comment about the advocates and evidence leaders at Madlanga. We'll play that a little bit later. Sami, I just want to tidy up on that. I spoke a little bit earlier about, you may recall our EWN colleague, Thabiso Goba, came back and shared with us what he learned on his trip to Ukraine. There was fascinating stuff in our conversation, but I did highlight that he was putting together various material, both writing some stories, but also sharing with us some of the visual imagery and stories that he captured while he was in Ukraine. So if you do want to follow up on that, because it's really well worth your while, the written stuff is on ewn.co.za, a very powerful story about amputees and how they are trying to survive life in Ukraine. And then a visual piece on the EWN YouTube channel. You could probably type in EWN YouTube Ukraine, and the piece is called Inside Ukraine's Fight for Survival. Thabiso Goba going out to Ukraine, coming back with some really interesting insights and stories. Be sure you pick those up.
EWN Sport.
Right, let's get the latest from Tolakele Mganga. Goodness me, Eben Etzebeth. We wait, eh?
Yes, we do, John. And as he awaits that verdict from World Rugby regarding an eye gouging charge, the Sharks have acknowledged that Eben Etzebeth will be facing a fairly long sanction by deregistering him from their Champions Cup squad. Etzebeth was red-carded for the action on Alex Mann towards the end of the test match between the Springboks and Wales last Saturday. He went in front of a disciplinary committee on Tuesday, but the verdict and length of any suspension from that game will only be confirmed and announced on Sunday. Eye gouging can fetch a ban of 12 months or more. Switching over to the Challenge Cup, where the Lions are gearing up for their clash against Benetton on Saturday, the Joburg side's forwards coach Julian Redling-Hayes has provided this assessment of the opponents.
With the Benetton coming up this weekend, another good scrum challenge for us. Looking forward to that, and obviously we lost against them. URC there by them, so can't say this is a revenge game. We just want to focus on our process, but we know what to expect, and we're keen to play this weekend.
Manchester United host West Ham in the evening's only game in the Premier League. The Hammers are currently in the relegation zone, have won just twice in 8 games under Nuno Espirito Santo, who took over in September. And despite that record, Ruben Amorim thinks that the manager will succeed at the London club.
I had no doubts that he would have success, no matter what the club. He is really experienced. He knows how to work with different squads. He understands really well the league, and that is a plus. We know that he's going to be tough. He's really smart preparing the games, understanding the environment of the game, who has more responsibility. All these things around the game is really good on that. It's going to be a tough match.
The ODI series between India and South Africa is tied at 1-1 after the Proteas won the second match by 4 wickets. Aiden Markram top scored with 110 as the World Test Championship champions completed the joint highest chase in the history of ODIs as they passed a target of 359 to win.
I think you've got to give a lot of credit to our boys, whether it's due or not, to chase down 360 is always a tough effort. So obviously it's a great benefit for us to get on the right side of the toss. It did help for sure, but I think a lot of credit must go to the boys that chased it down.
At the Nedbank Golf Challenge, Christopher Wretton opened with the 63 to record the lowest round at the challenge since Louis Oosthuizen back in 2019. He holds a 3-shot lead ahead of trio of players who include Marcus Armitage. And Terence Crawford has been stripped of his WBC super middleweight crown after a financial dispute, and that's after he became the first man to win undisputed titles in 3 weight divisions. The American has not paid his sanctioning fees for that September victory over Canelo Alvarez or his previous fight in 2024 against Israel Madronov. Hazam Shiraz and Christian Billy will now fight for the vacant world title. Tholakele Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
At 16 minutes to 5, this EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now. You could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. If you're in the Irene area or heading that way, it's going to be a little bit tricky over the next while. Karabo Chale with the details of that and everything else.
True, John. If you're in the Irene area or heading there, you can expect about a 30-minute delay on the main road. This is approaching Nomay Pierce Drive, Tembisa, slow-moving traffic, R21 northbound, heading towards Olifantsfontein Road. There's also slow-moving traffic in the Edenvale area, R24 westbound, from Edenvale Road to the Kilulis interchange. In Calvin Alex, roadwork still causing huge delays. N3 southbound from the Batu interchange to London Road. Bryanston traffic sluggish. N1 south. This is between Rivonia Road and Winnie Mandela Drive. And in Midrand, traveling towards Centurion, expect some delays. N1 north between the Batu interchange and Samrand. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. The Outsurance pointsmen know that every car on the road carries a story. There's a car with a family driving to their new home, carrying boxes stacked with plates and toys and memories. The Outsurance pointsmen know it's not just a car in traffic, it's a new beginning, a fresh start on the move. Every story's different and every story matters. That's why the Outsurance pointsmen have been doing what they do since 2005 in proud partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP. John is on X
At John Perlman.
702 Drive, we were chatting about relationships today. Now, why were we chatting about relationships? Well, Jonathan Fairbairn, you had some thoughts based on... Well, let me set the scene first. We're asking the question about long relationships. Are long relationships necessarily good relationships? Because we always say to ourselves, oh, look at them, they've been married for 40 years or they've been together for ages. And there is an immediate assumption that, I think there's something of an assumption that, they've been together because it's been so good. But that may not always be the case. So that's the question we're asking you. I mean, is that how you judge either your relationship and relationships you have had as to how long they lasted? Or is that the way you judge the relationships of people, family members, friends, and others around you? Kabazela, you go first.
Yeah, I don't think it's a simple one, but I do think if you look at the older generations, they, you meet them, oh, I've been married to my wife for 30 years or 40 years, or we're celebrating our, 50th wedding anniversary. Very common with that generation, whereas I think if you look at the generation maybe after my parents,
yes,
and onwards, I don't know if we'll see as many couples with that longevity of marriage. And then you could maybe say, well, why? And there's so many, temptations, I suppose, with social media and access and all that kind of stuff. But you could also maybe say then, well, maybe they stay together because it's just more convenient to stay together with somebody. Like if you, think about maybe going into the wide world now in your mid-50s and 60s and, trying to find new love, do you think, well, I might as well stay with so-and-so? We're kind of comfortable.
Yeah.
I don't really have those butterflies. Those left the room a long time ago.
Yes.
So I don't know. It's a complex topic.
No, it is, and it's a very interesting one. I'd love to get your thoughts. Tola Kelly, I mean, when you look at friends, family, consider your own life? I mean, does longevity mean it was good?
No, definitely not. I think if anything, people are kind of more, especially for my circle, they're more open and honest about what comes with having a long-term relationship and kind of the sacrifices and the things that you'd have to give up. And rather than, like Jonathan said, where he's like, some people are willing to settle, they kind of decide that if this is a life that I have to live for the next 20 years, will I be happy to do it?
Yes.
And that's when you decide that it's more about the quality than the quantity of the relationship. And if the things don't long-term make them happy,
Yes.
they're willing to exit, because why would you want to suffer through a life not doing things that make you happy?
Yeah, I suppose there are kind of grey areas where people find themselves saying, well, I think it's going to get better, and years can pass that way. Karabo Charlie, what's your thought?
Well, it never gets better. Trust me, if it's bad, it's bad. Get out
Yes.
of that relationship. So like Jonathan was saying, I think we are more honest with ourselves. Our peace and happiness comes first. So that's why we don't have relationships that last so long, because we don't tolerate toxic or nonsense, if I could put it that way, you know. So with our parents' generation, I guess maybe they'll settle down because of the kids, because of maybe the woman is dependent on the man, which, you know, they opt to stay. So with us, we get more dependent women who they can look after themselves. They don't need a man, technically.
Let's hear your thoughts, please. We got the views of colleagues with me right here in the studio. But what do you think? Give us a ring. 072 702 1702 and 011 883 0702. It's 10 to 5. Still to come on the show, we'll be chatting to Oren Singh. He's at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, where police minister on special leave. Yeah, I can do that now. Senzo Mkunu has been giving testimony. We will also chat to Dr. Kingsley Makubela, get his thoughts about South Africa's response to our non-invitation to the first G20 event of a new presidency. Sign of things to come. South Africa is saying, well, you know, if that's how they want to do it, well, they're not saying it in that way, but saying we're happy to step back for the next year and take our full place in the G20 in 2027. I'm not sure of the advisability of that strategy, but I can tell you Dr. Makubela will have far more insights on that than I do. He's a veteran of diplomatic service and doing that kind of work now. 702 Drive, it's 10 to 5.
John Perlman
On 702.
3 to 6 p.m.
Your house, your home. We do it every Thursday, and generally we focus on issues in your house. And it could be legal ones, whether you're renting or leasing out or buying or selling. We look at decorating, we look at gardening. But today we thought we would go quite wide and look at the kind of things that affect where you live and the way you live, but that are part of the much larger environment. And you may recall some time back, we spoke to an organization that focuses on the issue of illegal burning of waste and the dumps themselves being illegal in the area of Kaya Sand. Keith Elliott is volunteer director of the Kaya Sand Burning Wasteland Community Forum, and he's with us now. Mr. Elliott, welcome and thanks very much for your time. I think the first time we spoke to you, you had had some success in the courts, but when I asked you if this was a turning point, if I recall, I think you were quite cautious and said there was a long way to go still in dealing with this particular problem you face. What's the state of things now? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, John, and good afternoon to your audience. Thank you for having us on again. Yes, John, we described it as a narrow victory.
Yes.
Because we'd had court-ordered air quality tests, which was the first victory that we had, and then subsequently the decommissioned landfill site that was the genesis of the illegal dumping industry in our area was finally put out. The securing of that site was finally put out to tender, and in fact the contractor is on site and that tender is busy being fulfilled. But our concern with only addressing that particular site, which was the beginning of the problem, is that there are at least 4 other illegal dump sites
Goodness.
that are operating. And what happened was that when that site was cleared and secured for the contractor to start their work, the criminals just moved further down the road and set up a brand new dump site where they're now dumping and burning waste at this stage.
So your air quality issues presumably persist, and this is summer when people want to be outside more. I mean, this is a massive dent in, I would assume, the quality of life of people who've chosen to live in an area where they thought they could enjoy some fresh air.
100% correct, John. We continue to suffer with the air pollution in our area. You can't keep your windows open at night. You can't sit outside, and there are really serious health issues that are beginning to present in our community.
So where do you go from now? Because part of the reason why we wanted to chat, Keith Elliott, was obviously to catch up with the conversation we'd had with you a while back. But it does seem to me that there may be people in other communities who are dealing with environmental hazards caused by illegal conducts. And I'm sure they're listening closely, even if their problems are not identical to yours. I mean, is there a clear path on what to do next? It does sound as if the people intent on breaking the law and making money from it do have quite a range of options.
John, yes. So we're doing two things. We're very fortunate that we have a legal team that acts for us pro bono. So we have a legal strategy that is playing out at the moment. So in September we launched a notice of motion where we've cited 13 entities at national, local and provincial level, and we're demanding that these entities come together and that they bring their combined resources to bear on the problem, and that this gets sorted out. So that was launched in September, and we are now receiving notices of intention to defend the motion at the moment, and our legal team are dealing with that. But the fact is that it is a disgrace that citizens have to resort to using the courts to solve these kind of problems. The second thing we've done is we've managed to raise enough money to implement a private security solution in our area. So we've actually contracted with a private security company. They've set up checkpoints at the 4 entrance roads into our community, and they are stopping vehicles that are coming in and dumping. Now, this launched on the 26th of November, and we're absolutely delighted to be able to tell you that is having a huge effect on the dumping and the burning. However, once again, it's pretty disgraceful that citizens are having to resort to private security to do the job that SAPS and JMPD should have been doing all along.
As you said about blocking the passage of these vehicles and trying to cut off the supply to these illegal dump sites, I mean, is there a level of personal risk because you're taking money from people who are lawbreakers? Are the authorities offering you any kind of backup and any threat of legal sanction should people, become aggressive or worse with you?
John, we're doing this in parallel with what JMPD are doing.
Right.
So our security company conducts raids in conjunction with JMPD, or intends to conduct raids in conjunction with JMPD. They also have number plate recognition, so they can bring JMPD onto site if and when they need to. But there certainly isn't any cooperation other than that with the city on this.
Thank you so much, and good luck in your efforts to try and restore some kind of ecological harmony and normality to your community. Keith Elliott, Volunteer Director at Kaya Sand Burning Wasteland Community Forum. I'd like to stay with this theme in the days to come. Maybe it's stuff we'll pick up slowly on. But are you in a community where there is not just a difficulty that you face maybe in your home or with a neighbor, but where there's actually an environmental hazard? It could be sewage issues. It could be something else. But and again, illegal dumping might be something you're dealing with as well. Do give us a call on 011 883 0702 and 072 702 1702. Maybe it's a story that we can pick up in future episodes of Your House, Your Home. 2 minutes to 5.
Take a ride back to the greatest decades in music.
Because Saturdays on 702
are all about timeless tunes.
At 10 a.m.
Kenny Maestri sets the stage with the greatest hits of the 80s
and 90s. At 2 p.m., Pushaza Sibia keeps the nostalgia flowing
with more classics you can't help but sing along to.
Then at 5 p.m., Richard Mwamba
celebrates the sounds of the continent
with This Is Africa.
It's more than just music.
It's your Saturday wrapped in the sounds you love.
Only on 702.
702.
Let's walk the talk.
We did it once and it was big. We did it twice and it was bigger. Now the Motor Select Demo Deal Dash is even bigger than ever before. And it's happening this Friday and Saturday only. Get up to 100,000 Rand trade-in assist on over 1,800 demo models from 26 leading brands. Backed by SA's largest and leading dealer network. 2 days only. Visit motorselect.co.za to shop the demo range now.
The pain of losing a loved one is never easy. It will leave you feeling overwhelmed. At Clientele, we understand that burying loved ones with dignity truly matters. Our funeral plans pay out cash within just 24 hours and you receive 200 Rand airtime when you claim to make those important calls. Plus, we cover up to 13 people on one plan. SMS Dignity to 41446. That's 41446. Clientele Life is an authorized FSP and licensed life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
Yeah, so I just wanted to share this with you before we go to the news. And thanks to Fifi for sending me 2 links, one from the Sowetan and one from Times Live. And she highlights the fact that the issue around people using blue lights who are not entitled to is not just simply an issue of abuse of power or people using them for status or social perspective. But one story from Times Live says, couple's car hijacked by a blue light gang in Vaal, wife found dead, and the other is from the Sowetan. 12 cases against criminals in blue light robberies. So it's an important perspective because in talking about some of the issues that have come up at the Madlanga Commission and specifically in regard to the suspended head of the Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department, Kat Matlala, and all the blue light stuff, just indicating that this is something that can become very, very serious if those blue lights are abused. It's 5 o'clock.
This is EWN.
Former President Jacob Zuma still has to pay back the money, and Balula urges ANC Joburg members to refrain from violence. Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. Former President Jacob Zuma has been dealt yet another legal blow. He has lost his Gauteng High Court bid to appeal the order that he has to pay back the 28.9 million Rand bill for his private legal fees. The court turned down Zuma's application for leave to appeal the payback judgment. In October, Judge Anthony Miller issued a range of orders in respect to money advanced for Zuma's legal fees and associated expenses. Orders were also made for the payment of interest. Zuma applied for leave to appeal against the whole judgment and the orders granted. He has always maintained that the court's reasoning that he benefited from the state is fundamentally flawed. At the same time, French arms company Thales says 2 of its deceased directors would have assisted in proving its innocence in the arms deal corruption case if they were still alive. Thales says without Pierre Maynot and Alain Terrade, who died in 2020 and 2022 respectively, it is no longer guaranteed a free and fair trial. But the state has disputed this, accusing Thales of delaying tactics. This legal battle played out today at the High Court in Pietermaritzburg, where Thales and former President Jacob Zuma argued for leave to appeal an earlier ruling which dismissed their application to have the charges against them dropped. Tabiso Koba has more.
In 2005, Shabir Sheikh was convicted for facilitating the payments of bribes between Thales and the then Deputy President Jacob Zuma. Thales lawyer Barry Roo says the allegation before the court is that Thales acted in common purpose with Sheikh and Zuma.
Now, who would have acted with a common purpose? Who was in South Africa? Who was there when Sheikh was doing it and who was on behalf The Taart and Monoi, they're not here anymore.
State prosecutor Andrew Breitenberg says Thales filed an affidavit by the TAD in 2009 where he explicitly states that he was not prepared to assist the company.
And in that affidavit he said he was not prepared to testify, and I quote, in any forum under any circumstances should a trial in this matter take place.
Judgment has been reserved for the 23rd of January next year. Thabiso Koba, Eyewitness News.
Police Minister Senzo Mchunu has urged the public to look beyond emotion and sensationalism regarding his instruction to disband the Political Killings Task Team. Mchunu has been outlining his reasons for issuing the instruction to have the task team disbanded at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry in Pretoria today. He took the commission through murder statistics over several years, comparing KZN's overall murder stats with those that were politically motivated. Mchunu knew his instruction of disbanding the PKTT would be met with criticism, but claims he was looking at the bigger issue of combating crime in the country.
I would be seen to be swimming against the sentiment, general sentiment. But I said to myself, I don't believe that I was appointed for sentiment. I believe that I was appointed for honesty and for reality, as I see it in the portfolio, and then lead accordingly.
To this now, with local government elections approaching, ANC Secretary-General Fikile Mbalula has urged party members in Johannesburg to refrain from violence over leadership positions. Speaking at the party's regional elective conference earlier today, Mbalula emphasized the importance of unity. New ANC leaders for Johannesburg will be elected this evening. The contest for regional chairperson sees Dada Morero facing off against Loyiso Masugu. Alfara Mushwana reports.
The Political Killings Task Team was established to curb rising politically motivated murders, particularly in KwaZulu-Natal. The Madlanga Commission of Inquiry has heard testimony from several task team members who confirmed that politically related killings increase ahead of local government elections. With new ANC leaders in Johannesburg expected to be elected tonight, the party's next priority will be preparing for the 2026 municipal polls. ANC Secretary-General Fikile Mbalula says in preparing for the elections, party members must avoid using violence.
When I say to you, don't kill each other for positions, I'm speaking from experience. You must engage with each other. Remember, Johannesburg must come back. Asisafuni coalitions.
Mbalula has given the ANC in Johannesburg the difficult task of regaining its majority in the next municipal elections. Alfa Ramshwana, Eyewitness News in Sandton.
And the World Health Organization says deaths linked to malaria rose last year, warning of an increase in resistance to current treatment. There were over 282 million cases and 610,000 deaths recorded worldwide in 2024. This is slightly higher than the previous year, underlining the mosquito-borne disease as a continuing serious global health issue. The organization says the increase in deaths and cases, combined with funding cuts, threaten to roll back the progress made over the past 2 decades. Gold is trading at $4,189.43 an ounce. The rand is at 17.05 to the dollar, 22.72 to the pound, 19.88 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $62.67 a barrel.
We still have slow-moving traffic in the Irene area. This is on Main Road approaching Nelmay Pierce Drive, while in Centurion there's bumper-to-bumper traffic N1 northbound from the N14 all the way to the Proof Plus interchange, and in Tembisa slow-moving traffic R21 northbound approaching Olifantsfontein Road.
In your sport, Manchester United looking to move into the Premier League's top 4 with a victory over West Ham tonight. Newcastle United defender Dan Burn lands a role in Christmas Panto. And Alexander Usyk versus Deontay Wilder edges closer after WBC ruling. A partly cloudy Friday in store for Gauteng tomorrow, with scattered showers and thundershowers expected. Johannesburg dropping to overnight lows of 13 degrees, peaking at a high of 25. Pretoria 16 and 26, and Vereeniging 14 and 26 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour: former President Jacob Zuma has been dealt another legal blow, with the Gauteng High Court dismissing his bid that he has to pay back the 28.9 million rand bill.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
702.
Drive home with John Perlman
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
on 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive. Good to have you with us for the final hour of the show. Coming up, what happened in the last part of today's proceedings of the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. In a funny way, I mean, there's been so much going on. I'm not sure that we've entirely registered the significance of the man who, after all, apart from Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, has been the central figure in everything that has led up to the setting up of two commissions. I'm referring, of course, to Police Minister on special leave, Senzo Mqunu. He's been testifying, and Oren Singh, our EWN colleague, has been listening very closely indeed. He'll join us shortly to give us his views on what he's heard and an update. So Oren will be with us fairly shortly. And then we're going to be chatting to Dr. Kingsley Makubela. South Africa, what do we do next in regard to the G20? There's a post from Vincent Magwenya on social media that I'll share with you that South Africa would, quote, take a commercial break. Not until we resume normal programming. Now, I don't know to what extent that's tongue-in-cheek, but clearly with all the work that has been put into the G20 over the past year, it's very, very important. I would have thought that South Africa finds a way to carry on with that. That's on the one hand. Perhaps more significantly is how do we continue with the key trade negotiations that need to be settled as soon as possible with the United States. Dr. Kingsley Makubela will be joining us, and we look forward to chatting to him at about 20 past 5. He's a veteran of the diplomatic service and involved in related areas as well. It's 10 minutes past 5.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hi, it's Kevin from Johannesburg. On the illegal dumping in Kaya Sands, I think the solution is to set up a ratepayers association or a homeowners association, and everyone withhold their rates until the municipality sorts it out, because it's their problem.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting point that you raise. Quite often when we talk about civic stuff that people are battling with, and there's a conversation about withholding of rates, has that been done in any meaningful and successful way? Certainly it was done to great effect during the struggle against apartheid, and there may be some who will argue that the non-payment in some communities in South Africa is a reflection of that being a strategy. I'm not sure that can easily be sustained on the facts, but has it been done anywhere in South Africa where it might have worked? I do know of a community in the northwest province, and I'll have to look up exactly where that was. I think it was in the Lichtenburg area, possibly in Ventersdorp. I'm not too sure, but Ventersdorp, I think, where there was not a withholding of rates, but a diverting of rates into another fund that was then used to fix roads, improve infrastructure, and so on. I don't think we've ever done that on any big scale here with any success, but correct me if I'm wrong. 12 minutes past 5.
EWN Traffic.
EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now, and you could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. The latest from the roads with Karabo Chale.
Well, John, at this stage, Irene, we still have heavy delays. This is on Main Road approaching Nelmapius. In Centurion, bumper-to-bumper traffic on the N1 northbound. This is from the N14 all the way to the Proof Plus interchange. Tembisa, slow-moving traffic, R21 northbound approaching Olifantsfontein Road. There's also traffic pressure in Edenville, R24 westbound from Macro Store all the way to the Kilulis interchange. Heading towards Bedfordview, also slow-moving traffic on the N3 southbound between Waterfontein Road and Van Riebeck. Driving through the Joburg CBD, expect heavy delays on the M1 southbound between Ethel Oakland and the Crown interchange. Also, roadwork still causing huge delays. This is in the Calvin Alex area, N3 south between the Butlu interchange and London Road. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
This festive season, the Outsurance Pointsmen can't help you find the last parking spot at the mall, but they can ease the traffic congestion so you get there in time to snatch those December deals. With the Outsurance Pointsmen on the roads for the past 20 years, we can all get where we need to be quickly and safely. Outsurance really means it when they say you always get something out. In proud partnership with 702, show them some love online using #PointsmenLove, licensed insurer and FSP.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
I am going to seek to persuade the commissioners that this is in part gratification. I'm not even suggesting it's a totality, but at least we know that at the moment of that letter of intention to commit, Mr. Matala had started making significant payments to you.
No.
Do you have a comment?
No, it's not that. As I'm saying that, he even promised me far more than that.
Oh, yeah. They got him now. He doesn't mention that Ket Matlala was busy sending him 20,000 rand in 2022. That's why Advocate Silo tells him that was gratification because you had unlawfully and illegally authorized his company to use blue lights. He still wants to deny and lie.
Clements Maniatella.
9 to 12 on 702.
Every week there's a new SUV brand you can't pronounce. The Mini Countryman doesn't need to reinvent itself. Heritage comes standard. Head-up display keeps you focused. All-wheel drive keeps you going. And driver assist keeps you calm while the others catch up. The Mini Countryman from 9,899 Rand per month with Mini Select Finance. Visit mini.co.za to book your test drive. T's and C's apply.
In life's most challenging moments of loss, compassion can be your greatest comfort. You shouldn't have to face the financial burden of losing a loved one by yourself. Rest assured, Clientele's funeral plans pay out cash within 24 hours. You can cover up to 13 family members on one plan, ensuring all your loved ones are taken care of, and 3 children are covered at no additional cost. With Clientele, you're not just buying a plan, you're also buying peace of mind. When the time comes, you will need to make important calls with your 200 Rand airtime you will receive when you claim. Plans offer double accidental death cover, as well as transport, grocery, and unveiling benefits. Apply today. It's easy. There are no medical examinations and no paperwork. SMS Dignity to 41446. That's 41446. Clientele Life is an authorized FSP and licensed life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
Are you looking for the best spectacle and sunglass deal? With Specsavers buy one, get one offer, you get great value for money. Get a free pair of branded single vision prescription sunglasses up to 3,300 Rand when you purchase a comprehensive eye examination and spectacle frames with lenses on your first pair. The best part? Choose from top brands like Police, Hugo, Under Armour, Tommy Hilfiger, Red Bull Spect, and more. Affordable eye care? Specsavers. T's and C's apply.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
So earlier today, we chatted to Jeff Wicks from News 24, reviewing his thoughts on the earlier part of today's testimony at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry that was involving Commissioner Julius Mkwanazi, who is the suspended head of the Kuruleni Metro Police Department. If you missed that, you can pick that up on primemediaplus.com. But what followed next was the titles are long at the moment. The word suspended gets used a lot. But Police Minister on special leave, Senzo Mchunu, was back. He had an earlier and I think fairly brief session at Madlanga, and he was back today where they picked up on what he had to say. Oren Singh, EWN reporter, was listening in and joins us now. Oren, a very good afternoon to you. Key points made by the Minister on special leave and key questions that perhaps he might have found not all that easy to answer.
Good afternoon, John. I think we saw Senzo Mchunu starting off quite strong,
quite confident, similar to when he first appeared before the Commission on Tuesday. He resumed where he left off, reading from his pre-prepared statement and sort of going through his reasonings for issuing that instruction to disband the political killings task team. But his demeanor changed a little bit towards the latter of this afternoon when Justice Mbuyiseli Madlanga put it to him that did he consult with SAPS management, or who was meant to have basically briefed him on whether the PKTT should have been disbanded. And he conceded that he did not consult and he should have been briefed by the National Police Commissioner, Fani Masimola, but that wasn't done. And he took that decision to issue that letter to immediately disband the PKTT. So essentially conceding that he broke protocol, essentially, John.
In conceding that, I don't know if they've got to this point, has the why question come out?
It has, and we've seen Mkunu kind of give some long-winded answers, referring back to a work study that was done in 2019 that referred to task teams that should have been disbanded or absorbed into other units, and one of those task teams was specifically referencing the political killings task team. But he also gave us statistics about how many murders the PKTT were investigating in comparison to how many murders were committed in the province. And it's a very small percentage, but he kind of didn't answer directly as to why he would have given that decision or given that instruction for the immediate disbandment, claiming that it was a long time coming and people were dragging their feet in actually disbanding the task team.
Oren Singh, EWN reporter, his thoughts on today's session. That part of today's session that involved the police minister on special leave, Senzo Mkunu. We'll keep up with that story as it unfolds, 5:20.
John is on X.
At John Perlman.
Right, let's focus on diplomatic issues. Statement made today by Secretary of State Marco Rubio. It's a lengthy one, and I recommend that you actually read it in its full detail, because the more we actually read and try to understand what the American government is saying and not just wonder about what it's doing, the better. But I'll give you the punchline after talking about the things that South Africa did during the G20, including accusations that we blocked the US and other countries' inputs into negotiations, actively, quote, ignored our reasonable faith efforts to negotiate, and, quote again, doxed US officials working on these negotiations. Secretary of State Rubio then says, for these reasons, President Trump of the United States will not be extending an invitation to the South African government to participate in the G20 during our presidency. There is a place for good faith disagreement, he says, the statement says, but not dishonesty or sabotage. So, where does this all leave us? Let's welcome to the show Dr. Kingsley Makubela, risk analyst and former diplomat. Dr. Makubela, welcome, and thanks very much for giving us your time on 702 Drive. I'm not sure how we should take the statement made on social media by Vincent Magwenya, because he does put a rather amused emoji, but basically I'll read it for you and for the benefit of our listeners. Vincent Magwenya, spokesperson, says, about this time next year, the UK will be taking over the G20 presidency. We will be able to engage meaningfully and substantively over what really matters to the rest of the world. For now, we will take a commercial break until we resume normal programming. So some flippancy at the end. But is that the South African strategy? And if it is it viable?
John, good afternoon. I really don't think South Africa should take any break now.
Yes.
South Africa should be lobbying all other member states within the G20 to say this unprecedented. It will start a new precedent that the host country may, at its own discretion, decide to exclude a member state. And I think that should be the focus in terms of the discussion. But that discussion, John, should also be held directly with the Americans, to have a discussion with them outside the glare and the scrutiny of the media and the social media space. I think this is what the country should do.
So stepping away from Vincent Magwenya, because obviously his role is what it is, but there was President Cyril Ramaphosa as well saying, no, we're not going to lobby, we're not going to pursue this in the way that you are suggesting needs to be dealt with. It seems to me that South Africa is making that call way too early.
I think so. You know, John, it's sending a message that to the rest of the members that we can take a pause in terms of next year G20 in Miami. And it makes it very difficult for countries that are intending to lobby to raise this unprecedented behavior that we're starting to see within the G20. So it makes it very difficult. It actually makes it a norm that the host country has a discretion to exclude any of the members. So it's a challenge. I don't think the statement should have come up now. I think diplomatic efforts should have been explored to really try to find an amicable solution to this impasse.
Dr. Makubela, when we last spoke, you made a similar point, albeit, certainly on the same theme, but at a different moment, where you said that references to white supremacist presidents of the United States were ill-considered. And again, you saying that there's stuff being said either that shouldn't be said or stuff that's being said when we're not ready to make that point. Are too many people talking before they've thought?
I think, John, the challenge we're running as a country now is that there's no cohesive communication on this matter.
Right.
You listen to different role players, different parties, different government spokesperson, you look at their social media, you can tell that there's no clear communication strategy. And my view has been, and is still, John, that there should be a better channel for communication. We've seen this deluge of communication during the G20 here, that everyone else was commenting. To try to manage this because of its sensitivity. It's quite sensitive. The Americans have no allies now.
Yes.
As you know, Marco Rubio is supposed to be in Brussels today and tomorrow at the NATO foreign ministers meeting. They're giving it a skip. They're not attending that. They've shut down communication with the defense ministry in Germany and the Pentagon. So you can tell where the U.S. is going. So you need to better nuance this and understand the bigger picture. As you are having this communication across the board here, I think we're going to keep on tripping on each other. There's a need to channel this and have a central focal point for communication that is basically informed by understanding the geopolitical dynamics and the challenges that South Africa faces and the impact of how the Americans can affect us.
And just finally, Dr. Makubela, I mean, to some degree, politics is performative because you've got your base and your future voters perhaps in mind. But is there a space, and I'm asking this, as a question as to whether this is actually going on or perhaps whether it should be going on, is there a space in which behind closed doors, away from the spotlight and certainly away from the media, there are people sitting down talking about trade, talking about economic relationships, talking about those kinds of things? My sense was that those talks were on and going quite well. Do you think they will survive this particular spat?
Well, as long as we pursue them, they will survive. Even in the worst of time, John.
Yes.
Countries that are at war, they talk to each other. I mean, the Ukrainian head of intelligence is a direct line to the Russian head of intelligence. They speak very often. Just to give you an example, given what we are going through with the United States, there's a need to open and keep a quiet communication line that is at the diplomatic level between the United States and South Africa to persuade each other. Because diplomacy is all about persuading each other. You're never tired. Because diplomacy is innocuous. It's harmless. It's something that you can pursue, but it's a statecraft that you need to master with all necessary knowledge and resource that you have. And I'm afraid it seems we are caught napping each time we're facing global challenges. We can't make a decision.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kingsley Makubela, risk analyst and former diplomat, joining us, and some really interesting points made there, suggesting that it's way too early to say we're going to take a break from the G20 this year. There are principles at stake. There are other countries that might be interested in those principles. And again, stressing the point, the importance of a coherent diplomatic position, which he feels we haven't yet achieved. Give me your views, 072 702 1702. It's 27 minutes past 5.
EWN Business.
Okay, let's find out what happened on the JSE today and what is currently happening in the United States, and crucially, what's going to happen on the Money Show between 6 and 8. Stephen, good afternoon.
John, good afternoon. Well, I can tell you the dollar weakening again over the last hour and currently well below that 17 Rand to the dollar mark, 16.95 at the moment. This is because of consistent dollar weakness. I'm sure that interest rate expectations are playing a part in that as well. But the Rand also just looking a little better. The JSE All Share ending the day down 0.37%, 110,925 points. Financials up 0.57%, industrials flat, and then resources down quite strongly, down 1.72% on the day. Weaker gold and platinum prices. The main story on the GSE, of course, Sappi. They ended up 10.6% after they confirmed that they're entering a joint venture with the Finnish firm UPM Kymmene. The two will merge their graphic paper product capacities. That'll allow them to achieve synergies, they say, of 100 million euros a year. There are a few things they have to go through to get through this to work. They have to go through to regulators. They'll have to speak to shareholders. But certainly on this share price, shareholders are going to be very keen on this. The point, though, John, is that graphic paper product, so the demand for graphic paper is sort of halved in the last 16 years or so, and as a result of that, it wouldn't seem that that's ever going to increase. Also, of course, Vodacom, they're buying a controlling share of Safaricom from the Kenyan government. They're going to spend 36 billion rand in buying that. They'll then own 55%. The Kenyan government will keep 20%. A reminder, Kenya's economy is growing at 5% a year. So you can imagine the money that can be made there, all very important. And Bloomberg reporting that the U.S. company Prudential Financial is looking at selling its stake in Alex Forbes. Prudential bought around 1/3 of Alex Forbes 3 years ago. I understand that no final decision has been made. The other big shareholder is African Rainbow Minerals. They own 47%. ASP Isotopes, they're up 25% on the day. Mondi is up 1.99. Omnia up 1.66. And then Sasol down again, down nearly 5% on the day, John. Sibanye and some of the other platinum miners are down. They're down 4.22. And then gold shares, Anglo Gold, DRD Gold, Harmony, all down by around 3% on the day. In the US, we're starting to see a bit of an uptick, generally speaking, or we certainly were a couple of moments ago. In fact, it's just turned negative, John. The Dow Jones down 0.17, the Nasdaq down 0.18, the S&P 500 down 0.08. Still waiting for more data from the U.S. federal government. The gold price, $4,195.47. The platinum, $1,643.40. Brent crude, $62.67. And the rand to the dollar, 16.95. To the euro, 19.78. To the British pound, 22.67. On the Money Show tonight, we will speak more. We'll speak to the CEO at Sappi on their important deal. We'll talk about the currency. We'll talk about Vodacom. We will also be looking at, can you believe, after 140 years of mining in the Witwatersrand, mining for gold.
Yes.
Another new gold mine opened yesterday.
Goodness.
Indeed. Who would have thought? Today, actually, they opened today. We'll speak to the CEO of that gold mine on the Money Show. Stephen Curtis, EWN Business.
Thanks, Stephen. News time now with Mbali Dlamini. Down to the courts in the Western Cape we go to get us going. Mbali.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. Alleged underworld gang boss Nafees Modak has denied using co-accused Ziad Puli as a middleman to orchestrate murders on his behalf. The prosecution wrapped up its lengthy cross-examination of Modak in the Western Cape High Court today. Modak, who faces 122 charges, is on trial, along with 14 others in the Western Cape High Court. Carlo Peterson reports.
State Prosecutor Greg Vormerans wrapped up his 29-day cross-examination of Nafees Modak today by reminding the court about the testimony of self-confessed hitman Mr. A. Mr. A told the court co-accused Ziad Pool recruited him as a hitman on behalf of Modak in 2019. The self-confessed hitman testified he met Modak after he murdered Hawks officer Nico Heerskap's father in July 2019 and was praised for the murder. He told the court after being instructed by Poole, he went on to murder tow truck driver Richard Joseph in September 2019 before making failed attempts on the lives of defense attorney William Booth and alleged underworld figure Andre Nordier.
We had just talked about this 24th of August 2019 meeting at Stickland at the engine garage. Mr. A said that is where he engaged with you and accused number 3. You say no such meeting took place.
That's right, Bill.
The matter will be back in court in January next year. Carlo Peterson, Eyewitness News.
Staying with court matters, the latest suspected gang shooting outside the Athlone Magistrates Court has again put the spotlight on safety around court precincts in the country. 2 men were shot dead minutes apart while walking outside of the court building yesterday. This is the second such incident outside the same courthouse in just 3 months. It's also the 4th time someone attending court has been shot and killed in and around a magistrates court in Cape Town this year. Ntutuzelo Nene has more.
One of the victims of the Athlone shootings was shot outside the police station, which is right next to the court. Judicial monitoring organization Judges Matter has renewed calls for security to be beefed up outside court precincts in the country. Judges Matter senior researcher Mbegezeli Benjamin.
Although we acknowledge that this incident happened outside of the court precinct, so the Department of Justice would not be the department responsible for ensuring the safety, it does require that the South African Police Service in the Western Cape intensify their patrols and other security measures around court buildings.
The gunmen responsible for the attack are still at large. Ndutuzelo Nene, Eyewitness News.
And Meta has started removing Australian children under the age of 16 from its Instagram, Facebook and Threads platforms. The move comes as the deadline for the country's social media ban looms. The under-16s social media ban is due to take effect from the 10th of December, but Meta alerted users last month that it would begin shutting down accounts from today. The Australian government says the ban is aimed at protecting children from the harms of social media, but critics say the move may isolate certain groups who depend on platforms for connection and push children to less regulated corners of the internet. A partly cloudy Friday in store for Gauteng tomorrow, with scattered showers and thundershowers expected. Lows of between 13 and 16 degrees and highs of between 25 and 26.
Pulls off bumper-to-bumper traffic on Witkoppen Road between Stonehaven and Main Road. Heading towards Fourways, there's also heavy delays. This is on Winnie Mandela Drive between the N1 and Broad Acres. And there's also about a 20-minute delay in Edenvale. That's heading towards Bedford View, R24 West, between Macro Store and the Gilulis interchange.
The top story in EWN, alleged underworld gang boss Nafis Modak has denied using co-accused Ziad Pool as a middleman to orchestrate murders on his behalf.
Take a ride back to the greatest decades in music.
Because Saturdays on 702
are all about timeless tunes.
At 10 a.m.
Kenny Mystery sets the stage with the greatest hits of the 80s
and 90s. At 2 p.m. Pushaza Sibia keeps the nostalgia flowing
with more classics you can't help but sing along to.
Then at 5 p.m. Richard Mwamba
celebrates the sounds of the continent
with This Is Africa.
It's more than just music.
It's your Saturday wrapped in the sounds you love.
Only on 702.
702.
Let's walk the talk.
Scams are upgrading faster than your phone software, and Quishing, it's the latest update you don't want.
Quishing?
Fake QR codes that send you to unsafe sites. For one scan, and they've got your details.
I just scanned one at the airport.
Scanning random stickers in 2025. Brave move. Close that browser window. Scams can happen anywhere. Stay alert, and if you're unsure, contact ABSA on 0860 557 557. Protect your money. Protect your story. ABSA, your story matters. An authorized financial services provider.
Tip your way to glory in the Hollywood Bets Punters Challenge, the free-to-play horse racing game with daily cash giveaways and massive jackpot prizes. Pick all the winners on the race card and you could win 100,000 Rand. Bet 50 Rand or more on your selections using the Bet Slip feature and you could walk away with 1 million Rand. Visit punterschallenge.hollywoodbets.net today and tip your way to the top. T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008.
Those trusty old shoes. They're for your first move out of home. That marathon training that lasted a day. The quick runs to the store. The long nights out. Yeah, they've done the most for you. But with the Street Store, they can do even more for someone else. Visit thestreetstore.org to find out more about donating your pre-loved shoes and clothes to the world's first rent-free pop-up clothing store for the homeless. Donate before December 6, 2025.
702. WhatsApp John
On 072
702
1702.
Hey, Dr. John, today I had a beautiful day. You know, when you shred a paper, you know that shredding machine? That's what Madlanga did to Senzo Mchunu today. Oh man, what a day. He shredded him to pieces. It actually showed him that as a politician, you know nothing. And you believe that you know something. This thing of over-explaining things, going around in circles, making us fools. Today, Madlanga took him to task and showed him who's the judge and who knows the law. He shredded him to pieces, Ndate John. Did you watch that, Ndate John? Oh, man. I was clapping hands like I was in a soccer match. Pirates is scoring goals. I've enjoyed myself. Wow! Madlanga, I take my hat off for you. Aye, Baba. Thank you, John. Sindile.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I think people who are enjoying this process and are enjoying hearing people being called to account in their room for obfuscation, and there's an obfuscatory word if ever there was one. Their room for trying to avoid the question and trying to avoid giving an answer. When they see that being shrunk and closed down, I think people are taking a lot of pleasure out of it. And I don't think it's necessarily aimed at individuals. And I don't think it's even party political. I think people are enjoying seeing accountability in action. I get fully there's another layer of accountability on which we will be severely tested, i.e. will there be consequences. But as a first step of laying bare what people are saying that absolutely is not true or makes no sense, I'm enjoying it, as I said. Not with the same enthusiasm as that message, but thank you for that coming from Sindile. It's 20 to 6.
EWN Sport.
Tolakele Mganga Premier League football tonight, and a footballer is ending up on stage, I believe. You've got those stories and some cricket as well.
Absolutely, John. And Manchester United are seeking back-to-back Premier League wins when they welcome West Ham United to Old Trafford tonight. Forward Mateus Cunha is back in training and will be available, having missed 2 games with a head injury. Ruben Amorim is hoping he can add to his 1 goal this season.
I think he has more levels to go. He's in the different club, different pressure, but I think he coped with that really well. He was struggling because he was not scoring. And because of social media abuse, he was thinking too much about the numbers, but the influence that he has in the team is so important for us. But I think Cunha has so much to grow defensively and offensively.
Newcastle defender Dan Burn has landed the role of the voice of a genie that's in a local pantomime over the Christmas period. He'll appear in the Phoenix Theatre's production of Aladdin in his hometown of Blythe, with performances running from the 6th of December until the 28th. Burn's contribution will be entirely pre-recorded. That's because of the Magpies' festive schedule across the Premier League and domestic competitions. Switching over to cricket, where South Africa completed the joint highest chase in history of ODIs in India as they passed a target of 359 to win the second game by 4 wickets and level the series at 1-1. Aiden Markram hit 110 from the top order, while Matthew Bretska and Devalt Brevis both made half centuries as the tourists beat India with 4 balls to spare.
Yeah, confidence massive for the group. Any change room is a better place when you're getting good results. So I think the boys will be obviously in good spirits. There is still lots of learning for us to do and improvements that we can make going into the Vizag game. So that's where a lot of the discussions will be based around. And
Christopher Ritten shot a 9-under par 63 to lead the 2025 Nedbank Golf Challenge by 3 shots after the opening round. With more from the day's play at Sun City, here's Lennox Wasara.
We have a surprise leader with a 3-shot lead after sinking a magnificent 10 birdies, and Christopher Rayton of Norway caught a roaring 9-under 63 and holds a 3-shot lead at the top of the leaderboard with a shot shy of the course record. but matching the lowest opening round since 2019. But all eyes at home remain on the South Africans, including Sean Norris and Garrick Higo, who opened with a 68, just 5 back, both hoping to end the 8-year wait for a home winner in Africa's major. The hunt is on to see who will pull away on day 2. Lennox Wasara, EWN Sport, reporting from Sun City.
And Alexander Usyk will be permitted to make a voluntary defense of his WBC Heavyweight World Championship, and it could be against Deontay Wilder. Usyk is undefeated but no longer the undisputed Heavyweight World Champion. That's having vacated the WBO Championship that he's held since 2021 when he first defeated Anthony Joshua. Tolagile Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
17 minutes to 6 on 702 Drive. The good thing is it is not bucketing with rain unless it is. No, I don't think it is. It's been a nice day today, hey? Joburg, with all its problems, when the sun shines, this place, I do love it. But we got problems if you're in Paulsdorp.
Yeah, I'm afraid bumper-to-bumper traffic in Paulsdorp on Witkoppen Road between Stonehaven and Main Road. Heading into Fourways, there's also heavy delays on Winnie Mandela Drive from the N1 to Broad Acres in Midrand. In Midrand, expect some delays. This is on the N1 northbound from the Between Change to Samrand in Irene. We still have those delays on Main Road approaching the Maypierce Drive, while in Tembisa, slow-moving traffic. This is R21 northbound between the R25 Baffontein off-ramp and Olifantsfontein Road, Edenvale. You can expect about a 20-minute delay traveling towards Bedfordview, R24 westbound from Macro Store to the Glulies interchange, Calvin Alex heading towards Germiston. Roadwork still causing heavy delays. N3 southbound. This is between the Between interchange and London Road. If you come across any other traffic issues, kindly WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive. Okay, so yesterday we played songs for you, and we're going to play some more songs now. But let me tell you a little bit about yesterday to put today into context. Yesterday we asked you about bands and artists who had names that were either animals or birds or insects or reptiles or whatever, and we got a wonderful rich mix. And amongst them was the band Counting Crows. And we played a song from Counting Crows that is called Big Yellow Taxi. And the chorus to that song caused a little bit of consternation here at 702. So let's play the chorus first, and then we'll find out what exactly caused the drama. Counting Crows.
Don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you got till it's gone? It'd be a paradise and put up a fucking line. They took all the trees and put them in a tree.
Okay, so here to tell us about the, I won't call it drama, but I'll stay with consternation, a good old-fashioned word. Karabo Malapile, our technical producer, you got caught up in this. What was it about this song, which I've always listened to for years, and I couldn't think of anything more innocuous, but some people heard something.
Yes, so I don't know the song. Good afternoon, John. Good afternoon to our 702 listeners. I've never heard the song before. And yesterday when we were playing a song, I got a message from one of our managers asking if did I play a song with the soul words on air. And
Yes.
why did I not give you a chance to apologize? And I'm like, no, we didn't.
Yes.
But because I was confused, I was like, I'll go back and listen. After the show, I went back and I listened. And when it gets to the parking lot wording, I thought I had an F word.
Yes.
I was so convinced that was it. And I was ready to send a message to the music compiler to say, why did you load a song with soul words on the system? I came back again today. I listened to the song. I was still very confused that this is what the song says.
Okay, so we've got parking lots. You think it could have been. So let's hear them one more time and see if you hear. And by the way, they paved Paradise and put up a parking lot. It was that way in the original with Joni Mitchell. Counting Crows did not play the lyric again, changed the lyric. But let's hear the chorus again and see if maybe you two might have misheard it.
Don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you got till it's gone? It'd be a paradise to put up a fucking line.
Yeah, I can sort of hear it. I don't know if this is induced. Anyway, it opens up a subject that I've always found a lot of fun. Songs where lyrics have been misunderstood. Now, there are whole websites devoted to that, and we might pluck some examples off that. But I'd love to hear your examples, because I would imagine there's been a story. Has there been a lyric that you've just completely misheard, and maybe you'd be singing the song and people give you a slightly odd look and say, sorry, that's not the lyric? Maybe a younger family member or a family member who's older sang the song and got the lyrics wrong. Let's get yours, please, on 072 702 1702 and 011 883 0702. As I said, there's plenty online, but I'd much rather get your misheard lyric and your story that goes with it. 702 Drive, it's 12 to 6.
702 Afternoons.
With Relebohile Maboja, 1 to 3 p.m.
What are some of the things that you think people can be doing during this time? Even not being Christians, we know that Christmas is usually reserved for family.
True. So the important thing for me in celebration of Christmas will be to honor Christ. Number 2 will be for families to come together for food and fellowship. Number 3, it will be to express love to one another. Number 4, to show gratitude. In whatever way you can do that, it's not limited to any other way. But let it be a season where we are showing love, gratitude, and unity and living together.
Pastor Masisi Tebalo, who's a biblical commentator.
702 Afternoons.
With Relebohile Maboja.
Let's walk the talk.
Team, summer is game time in Mzansi. Every tap, scan, swipe, it all adds up. And FNB is giving us big rewards, partner deals, e-bucks, defense tips, and chances to score experiences money can't buy. But you're only in the game if you paid with FNB. So stay sharp, spend clever, and let's dominate. Get in the game with FNB. Help changes everything. FNB, a division of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized FSP and credit provider. NCRCP 20. T's and C's, earn rules and limits apply.
Elevate your flying experience with Lift Premium. Enjoy even more space, comfort, and convenience with priority boarding, extra baggage allowance, and complimentary lounge access. Visit lift.co.za today.
PG Glass Repair, PG Glass Replace.
I'm Delani, PG Glass Technician. Is that a chip? With our advanced tools and high-tech equipment, we can repair it.
World-class repair technology, only at PG Glass. Visit pg.co.za.
702 was in conversation with Wits University on 702 Drive with John Perlman.
The big problem with African science is that there's not a lot of local discovery.
Right.
And we do a lot of translation from abroad, but nothing local. And we know that we're not good at manufacturing vaccines, drugs, pharmaceuticals, diagnostics. And so what we're trying to do is we're bringing a whole group of scientists together, interdisciplinary scientists, people who have got pharmacology background, people who are vaccine experts, people who understand immunology, virology, and cancer. I mean, putting them together in this BioHub, and we are hoping that this interaction will be catalytic. And we have all the building blocks at Wits University. We have drug platforms, we have vaccine discovery. So we have a whole lot of things that we can integrate.
Visit wits.ac.za to learn more about the Wits BioHub, where science, technology, and collaboration come together to transform Africa's health landscape for good.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hey there, John and team. What a great show, as always. Thank you very much for entertaining me on my drive. So this is a song I heard when I just moved back to South Africa, and obviously things hadn't been working in English for me prior to that. I heard what you're saying, the swear word in that initially, and I was like, okay, what an interesting tune, and the fact it's on the radio, cool. However, only later was I corrected to they paid Paradise to put up a parking lot. So yeah, I was also caught and duped initially. But thank you so much, Barry here.
And Tate John, one song that I think I misunderstood or misheard the lyrics, it's Letambuli's Not Yet Uhuru. My whole life growing up, I've been singing the song Nectar Tuburu. Nectar Tuburu.
Not yet Uhuru, Leta Mbulu. This one, let me read you a couple of ones. And Annie says, how about Hasi? Where for the song I See a Bad Moon Rising. I mean, that used to be almost an urban legend when I was growing up. I know somebody used to sort of play at parties and swears that somebody came and said, please can you play Hasi? And they said, what do you mean Hasi? And they said, Hasi. A bad moon arising. Did it ever happen? I don't know. But it makes for a great story. Rory says, when my sister was little, she loved Mango Groove's Hellfire, but she used to sing, Your Love Burns Me Like a Hairdryer. Let's hear what the original sounds like.
Way back, go Fifi. Helen Town. Way back, go Fifi. Sophia Town. Way back, Selby. Wellington Square, Marabenstadt, Bugle Hall, way back Hellfire.
Hellfire by Mango Groove. Sia also bringing it home and says, I used to say, I'm your weekend special. Brenda Fussy, yet the correct lyrics say quite the opposite. I'm no weekend special. I've always thought it was, I'm your weekend special. And I've just been Googling it. Now, Google doesn't answer every question, but all the weekend special lyrics that get, okay, no, I'm wrong. So there are two different versions on the lyrics. Which is correct? Is it I'm your weekend special or I'm no weekend special? Anyone with a final verdict on it? I suppose we could play it. Then we're going to have to listen extremely carefully. Now, Vis sends us this, which is very interesting indeed. I didn't know this. He said there is a name actually for these misheard lyrics, misunderstood lyrics. And Vis says it is called a mondegreen, M-O-N-D green. And the origin of the term mondegreen, by the way, comes from somebody, a journalist who wrote in Harper's Magazine in 1954, said, yes, she had misheard an old ballad called the Bonnie Earl o' Moray, where they said they had slain the Earl a Murray and laid him on the green. And she thought that it said they've slain the Earl and Lady Mondegreen. So instead of one murder or killing, she thought there were actually two. Let's go back to your voice notes.
Good afternoon, John and the team. Nice show as always. William here from Breslau. John, there's this colleague of ours who used to work with us there in Breslau. There's this song by Brenda Fassie, Noma Kanjani. It's Unukumlomo Ndikuthanda Unjalo. Yeah, she used to go, umlomo ndikuthanda kanjani. Yeah, we used to laugh at her. And we called her now after that now, umlomo. That was her name afterwards. Thank you, bye.
Hi, Dr. John. That brings to mind the song by the Commodores, Why You Wanna Try Me, Baby. There's a chorus there, and it sounds like it says, Ranfontein Ipua Haina Basadi. And even today we don't know what it means, but the Commodores, Why You Wanna Try Me.
I mean, that's just fantastic. Lionel, the Commodores came from Alabama, the town of Tuskegee. How they would have got Randfontein into the song, I really don't know. This is great from Zukiswa, who also says, I was sure I heard a swear word. Yo, I was shocked. Thanks for clarifying.
Hey, Dr. John. Another one that used to confuse us when we were growing up, it actually stuck, is the song, Why Don't You Take a Broom and Sweep My Yard? You better sweep it clean. And then the part that goes, come down, come up. We grew up saying something else, which is used for protection when you are fornicating.
Hi, John.
Yes.
Ralph. Good show as always. Interesting. So there's a song by Prefab Sprout. I think it's called King of Rock and Roll. In the chorus part, it says hot dog, jumping frog, I love cookie, or I love cookies. And then I discovered it was Albuquerque. So yeah, guess who's the laughing stock of the lyric world now?
No, nobody laughs at you. This one from Jimi Hendrix, just to play out, one of his classics. No, that's definitely and emphatically not Jimi Hendrix. I wonder if we got time to squeeze it in. Here we go. Yeah, excuse me while I kiss the sky became excuse me while I kiss this guy. From all of us,
live on 92.7 and 106 FM. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app
and DSTV channel 856.
The Money Show with Stephen Curtis is brought to you by ABSA CIB. Discover the latest trends shaping digital assets across Africa. Download the ABSA Africa Digital Assets Insights 2025. Good evening. On The Money Show tonight, the Rand powers through 17 Rand to the dollar. The SAP CEO Steve Binney on their new joint venture in the graphic paper market and how they'll